브릭업 스튜디오 라이브 ASL에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
나의 레벨은 다르다. 어나더 레벨 핫식스와 함께하는 ASL 시즌13로 인사드립니다. 안녕하세요. 이영정입니다. 어제 경기를 통해서 이번 시즌 4명의 4강 진출자가 모두 배출됐습니다. 이어지는 오늘 경기를 통해서 이번 시즌 첫 번째 결승 진출자가 탄생하는데요. 시즌9 이후 무려 4시즌 만에 다시 한번 결승 진출에 도전하는 이재호 선수, 그리고 대국민 스타리그 이후 무려 13시즌 만에 결승 진출에 도전하는 김태경 선수의 매치업이 여러분을 기다리고 있습니다. 이 두 선수 과연 어떤 발자취를 따라 이 무대까지 올라오게 됐는지 지금부터 저와 함께 살펴보시죠. 먼저 양 선수는 24강을 같은 조에서 시작하게 됐습니다. 각자 자신의 첫 경기에서 이재호 선수는 박지훈 선수를, 김태경 선수는 이혜훈 선수를 꺾어내면서 승자전에서 만났는데요. 승자전에서 승리한 김태경 선수는 1위로 24강을 통과했고, 이재호 선수는 최종전에서 이혜훈 선수를 꺾으면서 2위로 진출했습니다. 이어진 16강 두 선수 모두 죽음의 조에 속했는데요. 이재호 선수는 A조에 속해 정윤종 선수에게는 승자전에서 패배했지만 직전 시즌의 우승자인 변현재 선수를 꺾어내면서 8강에 올랐습니다. 김태경 선수는 D조에 속해서 박상현 선수에게 승자전에서 패배했지만 김명훈 선수를 최종전에서 꺾어내면서 8강 진출에 성공했죠. 이어진 8강에서는 이재호 선수는 김성대 선수를 만났습니다. 첫 세트에서 아쉽게 패배하긴 했지만 2, 3, 4세트를 연달아 따내면서 승리했고, 김태경 선수는 정영재 선수를 만나서 세트스코어 1대2로 밀리던 상황에서 네 번째 세트와 다섯 번째 세트를 내리 승리하면서 시즌4 이후 9시즌 만에 시드를 획득하는 데 성공했습니다. 자, 이어서 양 선수들이 결승에 진출하게 된다면 어떠한 기록들이 세워지는지도 살펴보겠습니다. 먼저 이재호 선수가 결승에 진출하게 된다면 준우승을 차지했던 시즌9 이후 4시즌 만에 다시 한번 결승 무대에 오르게 됩니다. 지난 시즌 유영진 선수에 이어 2시즌 연속으로 테란이 결승으로 향하게 되겠네요. 자, 그리고 ASL을 통틀어 이영호 선수에 이어 두 번째로 2회 이상 결승에 오른 테란으로 이름을 올리게 되겠습니다. 자, 다음으로 김태경 선수가 결승에 진출하게 된다면 역시 김태경 선수가 준우승을 차지했던 대국민 스타리그 이후 무려 13시즌 만에 결승전 무대에 오르게 되는데요. 프로토스 종족은 시즌 11과 시즌 12 결승에 오른 변현재 선수에 이어서 이번 시즌까지 3시즌 연속으로 결승 진출자를 배출해내는 셈입니다. 이에 더해 장윤철, 변현재 선수에 이어서 세 번째로 2회 이상 결승에 이름을 올린 프로토스라는 기록을 남기게 됩니다. 정말 쉽지 않은 과정을 통해 올라온 이 두 선수, 이재호 선수와 김태경 선수의 4강 맞대결인데요. 아프리카TV e스포츠 페이지를 통해서 7시까지 이 두 선수의 승부 예측 유저 여러분들은 어떻게 생각하고 계시는지 살펴봤습니다. 자, 승부 예측 결과 54%의 유저 여러분들이 김태경 선수의 결승 진출을 예상하고 계셨습니다. 이 박빙의 결과가 나온 만큼 이 두 선수도 오늘 치열한 경기를 펼쳐주지 않을까 하는 생각이 드는데요. 자, 그렇다면 이번 시즌 16강을 함께했던 선수들은 과연 오늘 이 4강 맞대결 어떤 결과를 예상하고 있을까요? 11명의 선수들에게 설문을 통해 확인한 결과 변현재, 김명훈 그리고 정영재 선수가 이재호 선수의 승리를 예상했고요. 다른 8명의 선수들은 김태경 선수의 승리를 예상했습니다. 변현재 선수를 제외하고는 대다수의 선수들이 4대2 혹은 4대3의 스코어로 승부가 갈릴 것을 예상했는데요. 과연 선수들의 예상대로 이 꽉 찬 경기를 오늘 지켜볼 수 있을지도 기대해 주시기 바랍니다. 나의 레벨은 다르다. 어나더 레벨 핫식스와 함께하는 ASL 시즌13 4강 첫 번째 매치업. 이재호 선수와 김태경 선수의 7전 4선승제. 과연 어떤 선수가 오랜만에 결승 진출에 성공할 수 있을지 두 선수의 경기 함께 만나보시죠.
네. 네네. 네, 없어요. 이번 시즌은 일단 느낌 자체가 올해 들어서 제가 좋은 일들이 많이 일어나가지고 느낌도 굉장히 좋고 오늘도 굉장히 준비 많이 해놨기 때문에 결승 진출 확신하고 있습니다. 제가 그래도 좀 요즘에 토스전 잘하는 편이라고 생각을 하는데 그런 평가가 좀 신기하긴 하네요. 오늘 제가 제대로 한번 보여드리겠습니다.
일단 재호는 뭔가 계속 발전하는 선수 같아요. 그래서 이번에도 좀 뭔가 뭘 할지 몰라가지고 좀 궁금하기도 하고 실력적으로 어떤 빌드를 준비했을지 좀 궁금하긴 한데 제가 이번 시즌 준비하면서 좀 운이 좋거든요. 운이 많이 따르는데 재호도 좀 저의 운에 이끌려가지 않을까 좀 생각이 들어요. 근데 좀 결혼을 하면 좀 신경 써야 될 게 많아요. 그래가지고 재호가 좀 머리가 좀 복잡하지 않을까 생각이 들더라고요. 저는 좀 혼자라서 편합니다.
일단 심적으로 여유가 좀 많이 있고요. 저도 뭐 혼자일 때보다는 그래도 같이 있을 때가 좀 힘들 때 더 위로도 해주고 더 힘이 되기 때문에 오늘 올라갈 거지만 지더라도 무너지지 않고 계속 저는 앞으로 나갈 거기 때문에 크게 신경 쓰고 있지 않습니다.
네, 지금 현존하는 테란 중 제일 잘한다고 생각해요. 근데 제가 한번 스토리가 있었어요, 재호랑. 좀 제가 놀리면서 좀 심하게 하면서 좀 실수를 많이 저질렀는데 오늘만큼은 진짜 적이라고 생각하고 싸워보겠습니다.
일단 확실히 잘하는 선수인 건 맞는데 좀 뻔하다는 느낌도 없잖아 있어가지고 오늘 또 뻔한 대로 하면은 제가 아마 쉽게 이길 것 같습니다.
솔직히 뻔하게 하긴 하는데 그걸로 다 이겼었거든요. 네, 오늘 한번 뻔한 스타일이 뭔지 제대로 한번 보여드리겠습니다.
아직 저를 안 만났기 때문에 여태까지 통했을지 모르겠지만 오늘만큼은 다르다는 걸 느끼게 해주겠습니다.
today's matchup.
전 세계 스타크래프트 1 브루드워 팬분들의 기다리던 그날이 왔습니다. 역대 프로토스 최다 우승기록 갖고 있죠. 프로토스의 최강 선수 김태경! 포기할 줄 모르는 집념을 발휘하며 이 무대에 올라왔습니다. 테란이 꿈꾸는 새로운 신세계의 주인공 이재호! 그동안 중요 경기에서 이 저그전에서 발목 잡히면서 올라가지 못했는데요. 이재호 선수의 그 초반 플레이 자체가 꽤 놀라웠던 것 같습니다. 저그전 잡아내면서 이재호 4강 진출! 찌르기 나오네요.
호브 방어 라인이 너무 탄탄했습니다.
김태경 복귀 이후에 4강 진출!
라이트 이재호, 테란, 비수 김태경, 프로토스. ASL 시즌 13 세미파이널.
It's time! We are here in the semifinals, Light versus Bisu. Honestly, Artosis, this is a match I have been so excited to cast.
Yeah, this is a pretty insane one right now. Like, Bisu has looked just awesome. Really only Soma beating him and making him look like he's not the best player in the world. And the same goes for Light. Light has looked just immaculate. And to have these guys go head-to-head in a best-of-7, it doesn't get better than this.
I mean, it's going to be crazy. It should be a long night. I think maybe Bisu, in my mind, like 55% chance to win here over
Okay.
Light. What about you?
Actually, I go in the other direction. I'm a little bit stronger in the other direction. I actually think Light is favored here. I'm actually thinking Light's going to take this down like a 4-2, but I think there will be a lot of good games in there. But the thing is, I don't know if Bisu is going to be able to take down Light in a macro game, which, you know, we saw him, he took down JYJ. It was a close series. It was a great series. But when the games went long, JYJ triumphed. And Light is even better in that regard.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, when the games started to pan out, Bisu looked actually kind of weak and kind of off. But I don't know. I mean, one thing about Bisu is he certainly has no problem with being super aggro to Terrans over and over. We do have a couple one-on-one maps, so we're almost guaranteed to have some proxy gateways or gas steals. But I think that you do raise a very interesting factor here, which is that Light is like the best of the best in late game TVP. And yeah, Bisu looked kind of weird versus JYJ. It wasn't like we were watching Snow or Mini, who do seem to have a little bit more refined super late game, but again, Bisu wants to win this ASL, and this might be his ASL to win with Flash out of the picture. He just has to put the prep in, and he has to kind of know how to approach Light and where his weaknesses are.
Yeah, and honestly, I think all four of the players that we have left have real potential to end up winning ASL. And all of them have potential against each other as well. I don't look at any matchup and like, oh, this guy's definitely going to win that. Even Rain PvP, I don't think is a sure thing. So, yeah, I think it's a crazy one, and it can go to anyone here. So, taking a look at these records, 54% against Protoss, not bad. Light, of course, just in the last round went to a winning, like a positive win percentage in ASL. Isn't that crazy? He's like the best Terran in the world, and just now getting his head above water for the first time in ASL.
Yeah, this is kind of a dream semifinals for these two. And to what you were saying a little bit earlier, Artosis, I think you're correct. I think nobody knows who's going to win this ASL. Our top four players are all very evenly matched. Again, man, I'm going to say it. I kind of like not having Flash in this season. It is, you know, a much more interesting and suspenseful ASL.
And look at Bisu, though. Like, he's kind of filling in for Flash here, as he is supposed to do. Look at that win percentage, man. Overall, 61% with a 60% against Terran. That is pretty badass right there. So this is going to be... Yeah, this is going to be a great match, I think.
And Bisu's always had his own approach to this matchup as well. You know, we do need to emphasize that Bisu is a god in this matchup. I think that a lot of times when we talk about Bisu, we really talk about his PvZ, and he really did, I mean, so drastically change the metagame in PvZ that you kind of always have to mention that, because all PvZ before that was basically like cave people play. And
Yeah.
and that's very, that's very cool that he did that. But, this guy's PvP is phenomenal, and his PvT has never been a weak matchup for him.
Yeah, like, you're right. When you get up to this level, you don't really have a weak matchup. Like, the best Protoss of all time doesn't really have a weak matchup. But if he did Tasteless, I would posit that it is PvT.
Yeah, the weakest.
Like, I would put his other two
but-
matchups just a tiny, tiny bit above.
Man, Light has really got his work cut out for him here. I mean, these are two extremely established players, very studied. They've got a lot of professional matches out, not just in the past, but like in the last couple years. I mean, they've both been extremely active. Bisu, when he was streaming more, was also just very much on top of his game. And, it's going to be so fun to see how exactly a best of 7 with these guys pans out. I mean, a best of 7 in Brood War, by the way, guys, that was like never the norm in the old days. I think this is a little bit of GSL kind of bleeding into the ASL, where they're trying to, extend the matches. But that is a lot of PvTs to come in here with. Both sides are going to have a really wide range of play.
Yeah, you definitely are going to have to show off a lot here in this match. You can't just win through, like, aggression, let's say. And one thing I do want to mention, these guys, they know each other quite well, just to throw this out there. It was a long time ago, but they once were teammates back on NBC Game before Bisu went over to SK Telecom. So they definitely know each other well. They know what they kind of prefer, but of course that was a long time ago. But as you said, I mean, you can see infinity games of both these guys between their streams and all the pro matches that they play.
Yeah. Just looking at Bisu's play in this tournament so far, I guess the big question we got to ask ourselves is how is his late game going to be? Is he going to be relying more on Arbiters? Is he going to try this much more modern style with lots of Robos and Psystorm? Is he going to be doing any kind of carrier tech? I mean, I think PvT for the Protoss has not just so many ways to open the game up, but also so many ways to end the game as far as tech goes. So, I mean, he's going to have to really, be able to hang with Light, who is just such a powerful opponent in this matchup.
Yeah, he's going to have some rock-solid macro. This first map going to be very important. I think both these maps, the first two, are going to really set the trend, because this is the best map for TVP probably in the pool, followed by the best map for Protoss First Terran in the pool. So if they don't win their first map picks, like let's say Bisu picks up map 1 and map 2, I think this series is like getting close to over. So
agree.
let's see what Light can do here on Allegro.
As it pleases to me that it's seeking for you. Tell them the story, tell them the truth. As it pleases to me that it's seeking for you.
알레그로에서 게임을 시작합니다.
All right, we have Light in the top right and Bisu in the bottom left. So we do have some cross spawns to start. This will be interesting. You know, something we saw the Pro Gamer votes way at the beginning of the show, right, for who thought who was going to win. And it's really easy when you see that to see who practiced with who. Like Rush, for some reason, Rush, the other best Terran in the world, thinks Bisu will win. It's like, okay, yeah, he practiced with Bisu. Mini, the other best Protoss in the world that's still not in the tournament, thinks Light's going to win. Okay, well, he practiced with Light. And so I wonder if that will brush off on them when I think about their Mini's style. It's not that far off of Bisu, so I think that's kind of helpful. I think that Mini's a smart guy, so he probably gave Light some good insight. And as far as Rush goes, Rush does play a very different style from Light. So I wonder how that's going to end up helping Bisu, if in fact that was one of his main practice partners.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. And I always take this with a little grain of salt here. You know, with who thinks who's going to win here. I think this is a really tough one to call. Yeah, man. I mean, I just want this. I want to kind of ×2 this game and get into it, man. I'm so excited for these two duking it out, especially like I personally. I mean, if you guys, watch me on stream, you guys know that I've struggled in this matchup. If you've ever known Tastosis in your entire life, you know that he struggles in this matchup as well for our respective races. So, like, I'm very much eager to kind of see what I'm going to be able to soak up here with openings, with play styles. And in this game, Bisu goes for Pylon into Nexus. So I thought for a second it was going to be Gateway into Nexus. It's going to be Nexus first and a Scout after that Nexus.
Yeah, and it's going to be a cross scout as well. This is completely the trend right now. Like, this is a huge percentage of games that occur in Protoss vs. Terran at the moment, is this Nexus first cross scout. And what you do is, if they're cross, you stay on one gate. And if they're not, like you get up there and they're not in the top right, you can add that second gateway. But as he gets up here, this is going to be a gasless expansion from like the 2 depot variety. So this is actually pretty damn good for Bisu, and I don't think he needs that second gate at all.
Yeah, I think if I were him, I would just skip that gate outright. And if you do get away with a 1-gate Nexus first, it's so good, man. You have so many probes so quickly.
Yes,
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, you don't have to skip anything at all in this situation. And especially seeing that the factory is going to be a little bit late. Now, the big question here for Bisu is what the follow-up will be. Cross-spawn Nexus first with 1 gateway only. In my opinion, Tasteless, and I think the opinion of a lot of people, if he goes into quick carriers from this, that's going to be maybe the hardest thing to deal with.
Yeah, let's talk about this for a little bit. So, first of all, we're in an era now where Protosses have mapped out fast Nexus to the point where there's like a whole lot of different Nexus first builds. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I feel like 3 or 4 years ago, this was still kind of like, a bit uncharted. And, it's funny because the Nexus first plays so differently than like if you just do the classic PVT, which is a Dragoon into range, and then you get somewhere between 1 to 3 and expand. But to go like this, and then to get a second gas extremely fast, I mean, you can basically support 2 gateways, get Dragoons, and then go right into the carriers after the Observer tech is done. So let's see if he does that here. Now, that being said, you can also, as long as you know all the forks in the build, you can also just as well, take a 3rd Nexus. You can go into Reaver. You can tech an Arbiter later. Like, there's no rule that says if you Nexus first that you have to go into one tech or another. I mean, it really can pair with anything, but many seem to show in previous ASLs that this is a very abusable thing and that you pretty much can swat away any other attacks that might come and keep the Nexus up, assuming they didn't do the SCV pull, Marine Rush, Vulture, or anything like that, which isn't happening this game.
Yeah, of course, and it just cannot with how late the gas was here for Light. Now, Light, like, look at that, perfectly timed out bunker. You can tell how well practiced he is. That was as late as you can really get it. And he went into 2 factory very, very quickly, which is very standard as well. Ooh, I'm interested. He's going 1 add-on, and he's just going to pop this Vulture out using those Marines to push back the Dragoon. I like this move very, very much. I've actually never seen this gasless expansion before, where he's gotten this quick Vulture out with it. It's like a very novel move.
Yeah, well, he wants to try to figure out if a 3rd base is coming or not. And he gets 2 Vultures out, which is interesting. 1 is the norm, but to have a 2nd and even a 3rd Tastosis.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. Well, what he wants to do here is bring some Vulture presence onto the map, and if you keep your goons out, he can lay mines around and like make traps and kill your goons. So, like, I think good Protoss players, like 95% of the time, are going to pull their Dragoons back if multiple Vultures get out there. And I mean, with 3 Volts out, you have to, and you see that's what Bisu's doing. Light going to go down, see the speed of that 3rd Nexus, which is very, very fast. And now we get to see where he wants to go from here, because he doesn't have a very large army, and that's a very fast third Nexus.
Yeah, it's a quick army. I don't see the Stargate tech up here. Let's see what this probe makes over here in the corner, because... Okay, so it's going to be a Citadel of a Dune, so this looks like it's going to be an eventual tech into Templars here. But, you know, Bisu basically got his Nexus up and quickly takes the third Nexus in what's becoming a macro game, and I don't think there's going to be any opportunities for Light to attack anytime soon here.
No, certainly there's not. He's going to have to go for a more economic play, I think, because if he tries to just power up to something like a 5 factory or 6 factory, well, there is a good 4 factory push that I could see him giving a try to, but we'll see in just a second here if a 4th factory gets started.
So he's going to go into that Arbiter tech. Stargate and the Templar Archives in a second. There it is. And he basically wants to try to go for a brawler army here. And, you know, this is already difficult right now for Light because he's in cross spawns. The Protoss really wants to be as far away from the Terran as possible. Oh, is he going to... Okay, I don't think he was going to actually push. Yeah, he just wants to take another base of his own. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, he pulls the Marines out of the bunker and now is kind of sending them back. Maybe he's going to go observer hunting with those. The move itself, like, yeah, you should build your 3rd command center on location in a game like this, so that makes sense. But I was wondering there for a second, because his build definitely doesn't look like one where you're going to be able to attack right now, so it does look like he'll play more defensively, throwing down his starport. And we basically, like, with that decision of the 3rd command center on location, we just sealed the deal on a big macro game. Like, both these guys are too good to die at any point soon now. Like, the Bisu, like, when he gets either a max stasis push or a recall, he'll have, like, an opportunity to do damage, but I can't ever see Light dying to that.
Yeah, this is just ramping up more and more into a macro game. I don't think the 3rd base can be hit. Bisu's going to grab a 4th as quickly as possible. And we're going to go right into this Arbiter tech. How do you feel, you know, as a Terran player, Tastosis, with recalls on this map? I mean, is this a map where recalls are manageable, or is it one that you're pretty worried about?
No, it's manageable. It's not a terrible map. You know, if you get a map where you have, like, really closed off small, like, imagine the 3rd bases on Fighting Spirit. Maps like that are hell on earth against recall. In fact, even, like, Eclipse is very tough to deal with recall on that 3rd base. But here, the 3rd base is, like, really wide open. It's not a good recall location. Then other than that, there's just your main and your natural. So your first 3 bases are basically safe. And then, I mean, if they're recalling a 4th base, that's fine, because now our economies are so large that, you know, both sides can take hits and still keep rolling. It's when the 3rd base gets disrupted by recall that you're really in trouble as Terran.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, I mean, for the 4th base, it does seem like on this map that's going to be a struggle for Terran. Like, it's not that, like, there's a place that's easy to grab. Oh, look at this. A little DT here. He's just trying to bait out scans, basically. You know, Terran will be sitting on quite a bit, but just, you know, keeping the scanners drained as much as you can is going to make the Arbiters much stronger later on. Mm-hmm. And also, you keep the Terran guessing about bases. I mean, the Terran is going to be scanning the 2 mains here and trying to just get confirmation that Protoss hasn't grown in there yet. And by the way, I don't think Bisu needs to be in a hurry to put gateways in the other mains just yet. I think you can still just take the bottom center and be on 5 base and be in extremely good shape as Bisu.
Yeah, that's actually pretty common in these spots on this map in Largo, right? Like, is take that whole kind of corner, those 5 bases, and it gives you a really solid economy. And then, you know, after you guys start scuffling a bit, you can kind of sneak your probes around and do a bit more. DT drop going into the main. This is just Bisu flexing his 350 APM. Like, I mean, 1 DT is not actually, you know, all that impactful here. It's like, okay, you got a depot, that's cool. But this is not really painful for Light. He just has to kind of go up and deal with it. And, you know, a little tiny bit of extra damage because you're so quick as Bisu.
Yeah, I mean, he's, again, I mean, you're totally right. He's flexing his APM, dude. He's actually so fast if you watch him in first person. It's crazy. Like, he's doing everything so quickly. And this game just keeps getting more and more of a macro zone. Now, right now, Bisu has maxed out, and he may try to come in here and clobber the Terran and trade off some of his zealots for tanks.
Yeah, this is that max stasis timing I was talking about. He's a few seconds off of stasis here. Looks like he's going to start the attack, and he will have stasis somewhere in the middle, but look at the spread from Light. You just got to make sure his vultures don't get too clumped. And he does get a good group of those vultures stasis as well as some tanks, but Light does have enough to hold this off. So this is like exactly what we were kind of thinking was going to go down here. And he will pick off like a fair amount of siege tanks, honestly. Like a good spread here of those zealots, and he got like almost every siege tank. Wow.
Yeah, man. I mean, just he makes it look easy. Basically just going for that max out and then just hurling that army there. And again, this is all off the back of that quick Nexus. I don't know. Is he just going to kill him here, man? I'm getting a little bit worried.
No.
I mean, I feel like the stasis is going to thaw out here, and then, you know, there's not going to be anything.
Yeah, he just needs to get these tanks in a slightly better position for that unfreeze. And there is the unfreeze. The SCVs, rather, coming down to help fight as well. And Light will hold on. But it was a bit more damage than he wanted to take there. But yeah, like you said, this is all off of the back of the Nexus first. And that was stasis and max supply at about 11 minutes. It was like 11:10 when he attacked. Normally that's at 12 minutes. So you can see everything is moved up by a minute here. But the same was true for Light. Like, these guys are beasts. He had 140 supply when it came in, which is like exactly what you need to hold that at that exact time as well. So they are really well matched. I got to say, I think Bisu's playing a nice game here for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's looking extremely strong. And keep in mind that even though, you know, they both traded out their armies, the Terran lost a lot of tanks. And you know, there's a certain number of tanks you can have on 3 or 4 bases throughout the entire game. You know, and so you can see this time he's going to poke in again. I see like 5 tanks, where before that there was over 12. And so,
yeah,
you know, it's a great play here by Bisu to trade that out and just keep growing. But we do want to watch for this base over here at 12 o'clock and whether or not he can maybe try to come in there and get a deny on that. It doesn't look like he's having much success so far.
No, and I don't think he's going to be able to. In fact, I think that the first attack was really good. Like you said, he reduced a lot of the siege tank count. But I think you have to kind of stop here because Light is going to re-macro up very, very quickly. And if you're bleeding too many units as Bisu, the excess vultures, because you're right, the supply of tanks is a lot lower, so you're going to see Terran more aggressively trading out vultures at that point. And if your army is not large enough to kind of roam the map and keep the vultures from getting out of hand, that's going to become very problematic for Bisu.
Okay, he's going to set up for a recall here. This is that same Arbiter from earlier. And I mean, if he can just do a recall, and I think he might even be recalling a second Arbiter here. And you got to be careful when you're Terran and you put mines here, because that's the dream. If Protoss recalls on top of the minerals, those workers are going to get killed.
And he does recall on top of like a single mine and the turrets. Ends up losing quite a bit. D-Matrix there on a Vulture, just trying to buy a little bit of time. I think Bisu should probably target down the command center, honestly. Like, I think he had potential to kill it, and now I'm not entirely sure. Light needs to lift that off. Yeah, get that Zealot damage off of it. And Bisu is targeting now, but yeah, I guess he will still get it. That's a good kill.
Yeah, big play there to pick the command center up.
And you can see now we're back at 140 against 200. But Bisu's starting to get a bit more of a bank. He's killed a base. He's taken additional bases. Bisu is taking the lead in this game.
Yeah, Bisu is winning in kind of the classic macro PvT sense. He's done two of the most important parts of this macro phase perfectly. The first one where he maxes out and runs in and just hits all the tanks. And then he had a recall set up and then recalled and killed the command center. So, I mean, I think this is almost a guaranteed victory at this point in time for Bisu.
Yeah, well, it definitely looks good for him. I would never guarantee anything against Light when he still has a functioning economy, because this guy is truly beast mode. He's going to have 3-2 shortly. He's still got enough supply to hold on here. Like, he's scanning, he sees the army, and I mean, you see that army, you know exactly what Bisu's mentality is. That is one of those super Zealot heavy maxes. where you gotta lay a bunch of mines, you gotta have a good spread, but you can absorb this.
Yeah, he's going to go for it once more here. I don't see a stasis just yet. Shuttle coming in here as well. And I think if he did a stasis maybe in the upper left, he might
that would be the best area.
For it all.
But look at the Zealots get eaten. Like, Light's spread is perfect here.
Yeah.
And you can see that Bisu actually drops below Light's supply. Light lost almost nothing there. So, like, the thing is, I feel like every other move Bisu does is awesome, but those in-between moves are not doing well for him. I think he's done, like, a great attack and a great recall, the first attack and the first recall. But these other two little attacks in there didn't really do much for Light, and I think it's helping him to fight back. Like, you want your opponent to throw away 20 Zealots like that. That's really good for Light.
Yeah, that was, I think, Bisu's first big error here to come down. By the way, second Stargate here, so he's going to have a lot more Arbiters coming into this. But, you know, Arbiters and this style of play, you can see that Terrans, especially Light as an example, but have become very good at this. Now, if you start to mess up a recall here or there, this can really get into the Terrans' hands right now. Okay, so this Arbiter's going to confirm that there is a base being taken here. And one of the things a Protoss just can't let happen in a PvT is to ever let the Terran get another main in the natural.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be a game where it's very, very, very hard to combat their income. They're just going to have mech units for so long. In the long run, mech units fully upgraded are better than, you know, Zealot Dragoon. And here we go. Another big set of stasises here.
Oh, yeah, those are huge stasises, and this army is going to push Light back. Light's not going to lose that many units because most of them are frozen out in the front making a wall. But his new expansion over here absolutely has to run. I don't know. I guess he will be able to make it out as the Dragoons kind of get aggroed into the tanks there. So he saves the command center. He saves a fair amount of the SCVs. So that actually didn't turn out that badly for Light, I think. The stasises might have almost been too much there. But I gotta say, this position that Light is getting into, if Bisu really, really, really did his homework on Light, then he's gonna know that Light is probably the best in the world at this specifically, where if there is no like attack timing, there's no way to kill Protoss, Light will literally take half the map, turtle like crazy, and just reinforce everything over and over. So Bisu has got to be careful about this. If he runs into him too many times, Light will absorb everything and win because of having that other main, like you said.
Yeah, basically, Light just wants to drag this game out. Does he have an EMP? Oh my god, it's at 99. Oh my god!
Well, he gets EMP on the High Templar, which is actually really awesome, because this Storm would have been probably the best part of that, but at the... You know, with the EMP on that, it all kind of just evaporates. That entire army goes away. Bisu does have a huge economy now, since he's gone up to 7 bases. So it's not the end of the world for him to throw away a recall, but it wasn't that helpful, I would say.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why we've seen a lot of PvTs in the modern PvT era kind of pull a little bit away from Arbiter. Like, what Bisu's doing is old, and he's doing it, like, at the very, very top of its class. But you kind of start to see that, you know, if Terran can drag the game out as much as he did, the EMPs get a little bit... Or, sorry, not EMPs. The recalls get a little bit harder to pull off. Now, he's got 2 Arbiters set up over here, and he may want to try to just go do a recall into the main here, or maybe even into the natural. I'm not so sure.
God, his Arbiter's tanking for Arbiters here as he just flies through. All right, well, I mean, this move is going to be absolutely brutal. This is going to be a real pain to try to deal with. Look at that double shuttle coming in as well. He has another Arbiter maybe for stasis on the ramp. No, he just stasis a small group.
Yeah, I was going to say, stasis at the ramp could be huge to pull off, because if you just stasis that, and then you can run amok inside their base.
Yeah, that would have been... I think he should have been a bit more patient and tried to do that a little bit more. You know, I think it is doable. But, Light actually deals with this reasonably quickly, reasonably well. The thing I'm afraid of here for Bisu Tasteless, like, I think he is still technically in the lead. But Light isn't going to let stuff like that happen too many more times, and if this is Bisu's entire plan, then I can see Light still taking this game. Like, I think Bisu should at least right now be starting +1 air weapons. Even if he's not going to go carriers, just in case, because we might get to a situation where he needs that tech switch.
Yeah, well, if he needs a tech switch, he needs to get, like, air armor and air weapons and just continuously upgrade it the whole time. But I don't know that that's going to be the case. And again, we're kind of seeing why, and it's weird to say, but Arbiter is, a little bit more passé than some of these other techs we've seen before. This was a straight-up 3-base Arbiter rush into max out. Now, maybe he gets in here. Maybe he can actually crack this open. The problem is that these tanks, I believe they have +3 attack, if I'm seeing this correctly. And, +3 attack is devastating.
But the Zealots get in on top of them. A beautiful mind drag there as well. Good splitting. And, Light is losing a lot of units, but he's still maintaining a big enough army that he can't quite be broken. And, I mean, that's basically what you need to be at here as Terran, right? Just continually do not be broken and get SCVs over to those new bases, and you can just keep on not being broken. And if all Protoss is doing is attacking you, then I guess that's enough.
Did you see him make a pylon in his main when he already has, like, all the pylons he needs in the game? Did you see that? That was actually really weird.
Was it like next to a building, or was it like in an empty space for more gates or something?
I'm not sure. It might have been next to a building, but it was one of these things where, like, it just looked like he is playing so
Bisu,
fast. He just pylons intermittently just appear in his base.
Dude, he's one of the most highly automated players. Like you said, like, he's so fast. He's actually the fastest player I've ever seen.
Yeah, no,
so I wouldn't be
crazy.
surprised if he just automatically made that. But look at this. Another attack coming in. Zealot Dragoon plus a little bit of stasis. These attacks are just, this isn't how to play against Light in this position.
Yeah.
Like, Bisu had the lead, but he's really starting to throw a bit.
Yeah. I feel like, again, it's the style that, Bisu has made so famous, which is this Arbiter tech, but, Light is so tenacious. And Light has basically had the 2 bases in the top left for a long time. He's guaranteed the mineral base if this game goes on for even longer and longer and longer. We haven't had storm drops on SCVs. We didn't have any kind of Reaver that could slow this down. We aren't seeing carrier tech. I mean, we might be too far gone for carrier tech to be viable here.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a point where you get to, like, the end of this matchup, and, like, this matchup in TVT can sometimes just, like, go on for a ridiculous amount of time. But, Terran has kind of gotten out of control, so to speak. You can't ever let the Terran get another main. Like, if someone were to watch this and go to a Protoss pro gamer and say, how do you stop, Terran when they get the other main? The answer is actually, like, you can't let them get the other main.
Or if you do, you have to have some other more stable plans. Like, you can't just attack move into their siege lines. Like, that is just like you said, you don't scale as well with those Protoss units. It's just not going to end up working out for you. But we've seen Bisu now. How many times has he attacked with a maxed army into Light? Like 7 times? Like,
yeah, well, I mean, I think at this point in time, like, this is really Light's game to lose. There's one little caveat to this. Oh, the Templar! And that's that the center right base is being taken. And that's actually pretty important because, to be totally honest, like, Protoss is going to mine out every base that's touching the bottom of the map after, maybe 5 more minutes. Oh, dude. Triple Arbiter. Okay, so this is hallucinated Arbiters. This is a smart play. So what he's doing is, he baits him out. He's like, see, this is my real Arbiter.
Yeah, a beautiful move. And spells destroy them, but you can't tell which ones are hallucinated, unlike in StarCraft 2. So nice move there from Bisu. Gets in the recall. Oh, picks off one of those vessels immediately, and he can easily kill this command center. Obviously, this army will get cleared. I would love to see him, though, send his units to the bottom and clear the turrets. Like, make this as hard as possible for Light at this point to reset up.
Yeah, this is a great play by Bisu. It's one of the only ways that you can ever get in past their defenses once they start to just, have this huge smattering of turrets all over that entry point, you could still use hallucination. It's kind of crazy how like all of these all these abilities end up having to function one way or the other in a 24-year-old game.
Absolutely. And you can see here he's got a couple more Arbiters ready to try to dive in. He doesn't even make hallucinations there, so... Yeah.
What?
EMP plus 1,000,000 turrets. And,
that's so funny. So the recall actually occurs before the mana disappears. It's like a really weird thing for the Arbiters. So it looks like the EMP worked, but recall actually takes so long to activate that, like, he did cast that spell beforehand.
Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't use a hallucination to get in there and make it a little bit cleaner. But Light has army, like, waiting in that base right now. So definitely something he has to think about. Hallucinated Arbiters. No, are they not going to come? Not enough energy right now for an EMP. Oh, God.
So this is one of the problems with trying to do recalls this late into the game is that, like, it's kind of hard to kill these Terran units, man. I mean, you can start to see where the Terran... I mean, siege tanks and vultures are simply better. Now, imagine that the Terran didn't have these two top left bases, like the main and the natural, and was... If that was the case, Terran would just be mining from 12 o'clock, which would eventually dry up. And usually, if a game goes the way the Protoss intends for it to go, you're basically just keeping the... if you really go for a late game in PvT, you just keep them on 5 bases and try to exhaust them, if you can't break them open one way or the other. But this is, again, a Terran that's gotten out of hand. This is an unleashed Terran that, you know, has more bases than, you know, any Terran should be allowed to have in this matchup. And you're seeing the problems here. And now we're seeing recalls on places that he could walk to.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's got to clear some of these, so clear them however you're going to end up clearing them. But I do want to see Bisu do some other moves here. Like, I love the hallucinated recall. That was, like, a very good move. But then he just tried to recall the same position, like, 3 more times when Light's army's there, where he could swing it over to somewhere else, right? Like, mass hallucinated recall going to the main base when all the units are on the left side of the map, that would be a great move. But he's kind of, like, feeding into Light. And look at Light's stupid army right now. Are you kidding me? He doesn't even have vultures in this army. He's got, like, 40 siege tanks.
Yeah, it's something ridiculous, man. Can he get this EMP up in time? No. Big recall over here. Not bad here from Bisu, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a good move. It'll buy him some time. The siege tank's just kind of coming up to deal with this. Zod's doing, like, okay considering. I actually can't believe how many tanks he has. This is, like, the most tanks I've ever seen in a game.
Yeah, this is just a unbelievable amount of tanks. Ooh. Oh, wow.
Really nice storms. Yeah, he should have stormed where that stasis was.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like he should have stasis the ramp and then...
Yes.
Look, anyways, like, Protoss is going to mine out pretty soon here, which makes this center-right base the most important one. And unless Bisu can basically break the top left position, which I don't think he can, I don't see any way to recover here.
Yeah, it's getting rough, and it's funny to say because Bisu's at over 4K bank right now, but the siege tank count is brutally high. And, you know, Bisu, the type of tech route that he has chosen, the way that he's playing this game, it's like every time he does this, is this being efficient?
Yeah, this is rough, man. I mean, we're dealing with a Terran that's on 3 mining bases. And, you know, it's funny because an Arbiter can recall a huge army, but it can't recall your entire army. You know what I mean? So you start to see the limitations of this if there's enough turrets up here. You know, one Arbiter can recall, but if Terran just has 3 units up there, it just sort of, it's like you're delivering units to take a fight that they can't win. If that makes sense.
Yeah, recall is really about repositioning your army very, very quickly. So, like, to do it into your opponent's, like, defensive location, I think is not... It's just not really the way to do it, right? Like, I want to see him go and find a location that Light is not giving his full attention to and try it there. Here, Bisu, unfortunately, running through a bunch of mines there with those Zealots, trying to come down to clear this out as he lost his mineral base. Yeah, Bisu's going to be getting very low on income.
Man, this is kind of a...
Dude, this series is going to be a slugfest, Tasteless. Like,
yeah, dude.
Bisu actually had the lead at least 2 different times this game and kind of threw, but he shows that he can actually pretty much stand toe-to-toe with Light, but doesn't quite finish correctly, you know?
Yeah, he didn't have the closer. He did everything in the first 10 minutes, like, perfectly. Probably the first 15 minutes, you know, perfectly, but in the last, like, 15 minutes, it's really been the story of Light here. Now, hold on. He's going to come out, and this is a lot of Zealots coming in here.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
That is a lot of Zealots. Dude, this is like 40 siege tanks. Oh, my God, a storm going down. Oh
my God.
Oh, my God.
No
Tasteless.
way.
This is perhaps the most cathartic thing I've ever seen in my whole life, is Light absolutely dominating and then 40 siege tanks die to Zealots. Oh my God, just madness.
Okay, I don't think he needed to do this, by the way.
What, Light?
I mean, I think that Light did not need to attack out like that. Okay, so this base is mined out. That's funny. He never took the gas there. Did you notice that at the natural?
Yeah.
But regardless of that situation, I mean, Light can just go back and remake his stuff. And remember, the Protoss doesn't even have as many mining bases as the Terran does. So I do think, despite that fight, I think that Light is basically going to win this. And that was mostly, if not entirely, tanks. There's going to be vultures back here. Gases are going to start to dry up. Arbiters are going to become harder to manufacture without just having Zealot Arbiter. And, you know, 3-3 vultures are pretty damn good against Zealots as well.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Bisu, he is maxed out once again. And Light, not quite maxed. But Light is the one really controlling the way this game is going right now, getting back into the middle with all of his units. A couple tanks going to finish off that mining base. And Bisu looks like he wants to attack again. Oh, sick EMP goes down. All 3 Arbiters out of energy now.
Okay, this push is pretty awesome in here. Kind of a weird side storm there onto the command center. Maybe Bisu still has a shot. I mean, that storm is insane as well. By the way, guys, Storm does not care about armor upgrades.
And I don't know about this. Okay, another Arbiter no, that's just flying up in the turrets. I thought he might be going for a recall, but he's knocking out a fair amount of those siege tanks.
The thing is, Terran still should have a lot of minerals at the main and the natural in this top left spot, which has been, you know, one of the big focal points of this game. Oh no, never mind. That one's almost mined out. Okay, hold on a second.
They're actually just going to town.
Their income is both plummeted. Light's at 142. The bottom right main's going to mine out, and I think that Light just won't have any options. I mean, basically, I'm sorry, Bisu won't have any options. I mean, Light going for this exhaust play pretty much worked. He basically ran the Protoss. He let the Protoss spend all the resources and all the bases he had, and weathered that storm. And, you know, over a half hour later, here we are in what looks to be the twilight of this game.
Yeah, GG is called, and Light will take game number 1. It was a tough one, though. Like you said, it was actually, you're right, it was about 15 minutes of basically perfect play out of Bisu, and then some attacks that really were not. I think if he could just improve on how he is playing from his lead with that Arbiter tech, he would look like the scariest Protoss in the whole world.
Yeah, man. I mean, right now I'm looking at this and I'm wondering, okay, how many more late game Arbiter techs are we going to have? Because Light, I mean, he wrestled with that. He wrestled with it for over a half hour, and he came out on top. He survived it. It's an older style. It's not how a lot of the other Protosses play, but Bisu is an older legend. But Light takes game 1 in a marathon TVP.
Yeah. And now this puts some pressure onto Bisu. Bisu really needs to win Eclipse. Eclipse is the most Protoss favored map. It is map number 2. So we're going to see if he can do that here. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, Bisu has his chance at revenge.
힘들어도
어려워도 이렇게 멈추면 내가 아니지.
오늘이 보여.
새로운 나를 만든다.
나의 레벨은 다르다. 어너더 레벨 핫6.
오늘 제게 고민을 상담할 선수를 모시겠습니다. 4강 진출자 이재호 선수 모시겠습니다. 새신랑 새신랑 축하드립니다.
슈퍼테란 이재호 4강 진출.
모든 일이 슬슬 잘 풀리는 이재호 선수인데 그래도 또 뭔가 하고 싶은 일, 배고 싶은 것들에 대한 좀 긍정적인 해답을 찾아드릴 수 있지 않을까 해서 이렇게 모셨습니다. 예. 그럼 하나씩 좀 들어볼까요?
평상시에도 조금씩 생각하는데
네.
제가 원래 20대 때부터 좀 꿈꿨던 건데 아직 이루지 못했던 건데 한 번쯤 남자라면 꿈꿔보는 몸짱이 되는 게 버킷리스트입니다.
네, 근데 제가 아까 뭐 VCR 화면 잠깐 봤는데 그때 이재호 선수 얼굴이 굉장히 액티브, 소년스러웠는데 굉장히 몇 년 만에
몇 년 만에 거의 꽃방울이 돼가지고 웨딩화보라고 하잖아요.
네.
그걸 찍고 제 사진을 봤는데 너무 무서운 거예요. 제가 제 사진을 봤는데
왜 무서워?
생각보다 너무 몸이 불어있으니까 얼굴이랑 그래서 이대로는 안 되겠다 싶어가지고 좀 이거는 빨리 좀 제가 시행을 해야 될 것 같아요.
한번
네,
해답을 찾아보겠습니다. 이재호 몸짱 가능할까? 지금 당신을 지탱해줄 것이다. 이게 무슨 말이냐? 지금 이 살들이 당신을 지탱해주고 있는 거다. 커팅할 생각 하지 말아라.
이거는 상담소가 아닌 것 같아요. 좀 이번에 좀 생각나는 선수거든요. 조기석 선수가 다이어트 하다가 좀 경기력이 좀 많이 떨어졌었어요.
거봐. 핵심을 간파하는 말이에요. 솔직히 좀 좋죠. 운동할 생각 좀 까마득했는데 이렇게
또 근데 답이 명확하진 않네요. 네.
쉽지 않네요 오늘 상담. 자 그럼 다음 이야기를 또 좀 들어볼게요.
그리고 이제 제가 결혼을 했으니까
이거 나올 때 됐지.
제 와이프인 새별이에서 닮은 딸을 가지는 게 또 제 버킷리스트가 됐습니다.
딸은 거의 아빠 닮아요.
그럼 안 돼요.
왜요? 이재호 선수 닮아도 너무 예쁠 것 같은데.
맞아요.
그럼 한번 뽑아볼게요. 새별 씨를 닮은 딸을 낳을 수 있을 것이냐. 그럼 뒤쪽으로 가볼게요. 야!
계획을 세우기에 좋은 타이밍이다?
지금이에요, 지금 이 세계를 세우기에 정말 좋은 타이밍이에요. 당장 허니문으로 떠나라.
내가 한번 불러봐도 되나요?
그러게.
고민 하나 말씀해보세요.
나게 내 거?
하나 말씀.
네?
제가 한번 써볼게요.
가만히 있어보자. 다음 시즌 8강 준수처럼 잘할 수 있을까?
이거
왜냐면 제가 지금 연속 좀 잘 뽑고 있거든요.
네.
제가
주도권을 가져라 자신감을 갖고 주도권을 가져서 픽픽 뽑으면 잘 뽑을 수 있을 거다.
잘하고 있다. 그러면은 이제 마지막으로 뽑아볼게요. 누구 닮은 딸을 낳을지.
아까 근데 뽑았잖아요.
그거는 이제 타이밍. 지금 타이밍은 좋다니까요. 네. 원칙을 지켜라. 이 원칙이 뭔지 알아요?
뭔지.
딸은 아빠를 닮는다는 원칙을. 그게 원칙이거든요.
약간 박감 같은데 이거.
자 그러면은 또 마지막으로 정영재 선수가 4강 상대가 될 수도 있고 김태경 선수가 4강 상대가 될 수도 있잖아요. 자 일단 정영재 선수가 4강 상대가 된다는 가정하에 결과가 어떨지 본인이 한번
해보면 정영재 선수가 4강 됐을 때
네! 이재호 대 정영재!
별 의미 없다. 생각을 해봐도 별 의미 없다. 될지 안 될지도 모르기 때문에.
알겠습니다. 그럼 뭐 김태경 선수하고도 뭐 뽑을 필요가 없는 거죠?
없다.
알겠습니다. 또 진짜 이재호 선수의 시즌을 만들어 가고 있는 2022년인데 앞으로에 대한 각오를 좀 들려주시면 좋을 것 같아요.
결승까지 가가지고 우승하는 게 당장의 목표고요. 지금 코로나 때문에 신혼여행도 못 갔어요. 계속 비행기도 결항이 되고. 우선 좋은데 같이 와이프랑 여행을 가고 싶습니다.
이재호 선수 행복하세요!
Hey guys, welcome back. Well, thank you to everyone for helping us put on this season. I guess that's the big thing I want to say, Tasteless. Thank you for supporting us at the Patreon. That's patreon.com/ASL English. Yeah, it's been a wonderful season. We're really wrapping it up now. Only a few episodes are left. Hope that you guys have enjoyed it as well. Definitely make sure you leave some comments and some feedback for us. We love to see it, and we're looking forward to more ASL in the future.
Yeah, and you can also get access to the Secret Tastosis podcast. I mean, we're basically in the era of what they call new media, where now fans can just directly support, for instance, us and the people that help us produce this English version of the ASL. So if you've got $5 and you want to, support the cause, it's really appreciated. We love you guys. You're fucking awesome. We couldn't have done it without you. And you know what else is awesome, Artosis? Is this
what?
This series so far, man. Game 1 was completely insane. I mean,
Dynamite Game 1. Yeah.
I mean, I knew it was possible that we'd have like an exhaust play game coming into this, and one where, maybe Terran gets the map cut in half and can kind of run the Protoss dry. But to start it off, it's like, wow, man, we're really getting to get an experience of where the late game is for these two players. And again, I keep asking myself, are we going to have Arbiter tech more and more in this series, or is Bisu going to try to shift gears into carriers? Is he going to go again for this kind of new style of speed shuttles with lots of Psystorm? What's it going to be?
I think he's going to show a range, honestly. He showed some of the speed Psystorm drops against JYJ. Here he used the Arbiter tech, and it wasn't a bad choice. Like, he nailed his max out timing. He did a great first push. He did a great first recall. It just didn't have the finishing power. But all that being said, I think we can throw all that out the window because we're going into Eclipse next. And Eclipse is a wild map. Bisu gets to dictate everything. It's got a huge Protoss win rate on it. And he really does need to take this one. If Light wins this map, I can't see Bisu winning. After what Game 1 looked like and then losing on Eclipse, I can't see it.
I think there's a very high chance of a Proxy or a Gas Steel or a Fast Nexus. I don't think we're going to see just, a gateway into Goon range expand. But let's see. Game 2, guys, in this best of 7 on Eclipse starts now. Again, the winner of this moves on to the finals, the ASL. Let's do this.
이클립스에서 게임을 시작합니다.
All right, in the top right, we have Light. In the bottom left, we have Bisu.
So, I mean, I wonder if we're going to have cheese or not. I will say that Light is pretty impervious to cheese, but he can lose to it, whereas Flash can't. It's like Flash is Zeus, but like Light is like half god. He's like Hercules or something like that, where, he is pretty much solid against everything, but I don't see a probe leaving yet, so maybe we don't have a Proxy Gate. I know that, I think it was versus Piano. We saw Bisu do a pretty crazy Proxy Gate game there.
In my opinion, Tasis, I think the strongest thing for this map is to gateway at home, or Nexus first at home, but offensive gas specifically. I think Proxy Gate, every Terran is so good against Proxy Gate at this point. Like, you have like a few different options as Terran, and like people just are not taking that much damage from it anymore. So yeah, I think you just time out going up here and making sure that you get the gas and allow that to screw with the Terran. Because they still kind of have to look. Now look at this. He's hiding in SCV. That's clever.
And keep in mind, this probe, it's inadvertently scouted that no SCV has left the base, even though it has.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think this might be to make a barracks?
Yes. Yes, you're certainly right about that. He'll either make it at the proxy location or maybe the third base. Fourth would be about as far out as he could get. But he did a good job of hiding it. So he might be expecting just a very fast Nexus behind this. But even if it's not, like if your opponent doesn't know how many Marines you have, you can just kill them very suddenly.
Yeah, and you know, I want to point out, Bisu did not make the gateway on the low ground. He has probably the highest proclivity to do that out of all the other pros. You know, he's got that in his toolkit, so to speak. But this could blindside Bisu. Now, fortunately for Bisu, he didn't Nexus first, but we got to see if there's going to be any Zealots here. Again, the probe doesn't see any SCVs leaving, and I doubt that he was able to count all the SCVs there and identify that one is missing.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a rush coming in here pretty quickly, but this game almost certainly can't go on for a long time, unlike our previous one.
Yeah. Bisu going to throw down his Nexus after the gateway here, so this is about the easiest thing to kill with what Light is doing that you can even come up with.
Yeah.
Like, literally, he can just make Marines for the next minute and attack, move them, and Bisu won't be able to stop it.
That's correct. I mean, you know, there are builds where you take their gas and then you get your own gas, and that's a little bit safer, but especially at the higher levels, it does seem like, at least in the meta, the Protoss wants to take your gas and then expand pretty quickly while pumping Zealots, but it seems like Light build basically just beats this.
Yes. Totally. And, like, Bisu just scouted up to the north there, but didn't scout all the way to where the barracks is. So he saw, like, close enough that he's probably thinking to himself that he's completely safe. There's even a bunker up here, which is going to trick you into thinking that you're safe, but it's just not the case. Now, even a pylon going down at the natural, like, I mean, you can try to make a shield battery, but honestly, I don't think it's going to really matter. There's just going to be so many Marines here.
So he sees the 4 Marines. That's not really a giveaway, right? There's a 5th one behind that, but the other Marines can actually intercept this Zealot. This is going to end, I think, in a 2-0 here. And Light, tempo-wise, in this best of 7, could not be in a better spot.
Yeah, and look at that. Like, the Zealot so low in health. Honestly, like, you're not only going to kill the Nexus, you can go up the ramp and kill your opponent here.
Oh, yeah.
There's he just doesn't have enough.
Yeah, no matter how you cut it, this just should not be winnable here. One Zealot goes down. There's a 3rd one coming from behind, that one that took damage earlier. But when you get Marines in this high of a number, it's just, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
And now he can SCV drill up here, too.
He even has the SCV in the main base behind the minerals so he could drill. So it's even worse. It gets worse and worse and worse. He's like trying to make a forge up here. The pylon has no chance of surviving. Look at where he's walked his Marines. You can't even get surface area on him. Yeah, this game is done.
Yeah, this is over. GG. I mean, Light big-brained his way out of that map. Next, only one more 1v1 map to go, too. Butter is on map 4. But I'll tell you what, man. I think that Bisu is shaking in his boots, Tastosis.
Well, he definitely got out metagamed there.
Yeah.
This is a really common thing, the offensive gas into a Nexus, and Light countered it super, super, super hard. So Bisu is going to have to really be on his toes if he wants a chance at winning this ASL.
Yeah, I mean, Bisu lost in 2 very different ways. I mean, that was one of those setups where it's like Light pulled off a magic trick or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, he made Bisu's quarter disappear, Tastosis. So again, you know, this all comes back to that SCV hidden at the start that managed to hide a barracks. And honestly, intercepting this one Zealot here with the Marines, like the sandwich that he set up here, was one of the most important moments as well, because you know 3 Zealots is a lot more than 2. But I think no matter what, I mean, basically Bisu thought that there was a command center finishing back at home, and so what he needs to do is try to tech up as fast as possible, when in fact, you know, Light was all in. So all in that he even made a bunker just to make it look like he was doing something else.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, this is what happens if your opponent does not react correctly. Bisu almost scouted it. If his probe had gone up a little bit more and seen the barracks, he can live through this, like give up the Nexus, or actually he could have canceled it at that point too, because it hadn't finished yet. But no, like, you can tell that Bisu is not quite as prepped for a move like that. So You know, that's part of the fault of his practice. It's so common to play against stuff like that. As Terran, I'm not surprised to see what Light brought to the table.
Yeah,
and he's got to be feeling fantastic going into set 3.
I wonder what Protosses are going to do for gas steals with that, because that's very hard to detect, and you definitely lose if you go Nexus expand. Again, if you go gas steal into Gateway, and then your own gas, you know, it's safer, but you can't really punish the Terran the same way. Anyways, guys, we're going to go to Monopoly now for Game 3. I guess we're not even going to bother hopping into a commercial for that last short game. So we're going to go right into this, man.
Oh, my. All right. Monopoly. Light's pick. Can he make it 3-0 here against Bisu? Bisu really needs to pick up a win.
Yeah, let's hope for Bisu's sake that he can't. I mean, I don't see
ASL Season
any way for Bisu to recover if this gets to a 3-0. All right, guys, Monopoly it is. Let's go.
모노폴리에서 게임을 시작합니다.
So we have in the bottom left, Light. And in that mid right, we have Bisu. I've been digging the games that we've watched on Monopoly so far. I feel like it's a map that once we see a lot of it, we're going to really know about the balance, and it's really going to go one way or the other. But it's been fun so far. Definitely a wide variety of games.
Yeah, I'm curious. You know, Bisu did not look too hot on this map, by the way. It's a weird map. I mean, it's basically this big donut you're playing on with an island in the middle. But, I mean, what exactly does Bisu want to tack up to here? I gotta say, it's kind of astounding to see Bisu down 0-2 and to see the way the games went. I mean, he got magic tricked in Game 1 and then lost an exhaust play in Game 2. I mean, that's kind of crazy. If you're going into a best of 7, it's like, oh man. Those are two. One loss, like the one from Game 1 is one where, like, Light is like, I am actually so mechanically gifted, I am just going to absorb all of your beatings until you have nothing left to hit me with. And then in Game 2 is like, I know what you want to do so well that I've prepped a complete hard counter to this. Like, you lost the moment that you didn't see my SCV and you took my gas, you fool.
In a way, yeah. So this game, he is choosing to go Nexus first again. Not at all surprised to see that. I think we will be seeing a lot of Nexus first in general. I think anyone would be hard-pressed to say that this is not the best opener on 3- and 4-player maps right now. But we'll see. Light's going to scout him first, so we should see a bust. And seeing how Bisu wants to deal with that, I think, is going to be very important.
So this probe is going to scout the wrong spot. SCV is going to see this on the first scout. There are more options for the Terran if you see this immediately.
Yeah, you can, like, if you scout it first, you can actually optimize your build in, like, a few different ways. Like, you can skip an SCV and have an additional Marine for the attack, which is pretty crazy. Yeah.
And so that's what we've got
here. He's not going to skip it. Here, the thing is, his micro is good enough that he doesn't even feel like he needs to do that. So he'll just go with the regular push, but that's a reasonably quick cybernetic score. So this is going to be a pretty heavy probe cut game here from Bisu, I think. And that's a very quick send right there. This is like a very, very early send out. I'm a little bit surprised, but Light's got, like, some of the best Marine SCV micro there is.
Yeah, sometimes the probes are used like drones here. I feel like Zergs are so much better than this than Protosses are because they've had to deal with it for so long, but it's tough. Now, probes are way better than Marines if they can get close to them, and that's why the SCVs need to physically body block this. Now, the bunker's going to finish as well, but if he can get the zealots and the probes in front of it, it might be okay.
Yeah. It comes out, picks off one of these. I'm really surprised Light's doing this. Like, there's a set way where you just bust the Nexus, and he's being so fancy. But we'll see. I mean, I guess maybe he can just get it done anyways. With the Vulture coming up, it looks much more likely. Look at this. The probe's coming down to block. Beautiful micro there from Bisu for a moment.
Okay, the Zealots are going to push through. The Vulture's going to be here. Now, the Zealots are expendable. The Dragoons are not. He does not want to lose any probes with this, though, either.
Yeah, this is getting reasonable for Bisu, though. Like, oh, nice Dragoon pull there. If he got surrounded, that turns it so quickly. But keeping it alive, picking off that Vulture, gets rid of the Marine. The Marine's the most important things to kill here at the moment. And he might end up losing one of these Dragoons, but he's basically held it at this point.
Yeah. Kind of. Oh, my God. All right. You know, this is
Look
crazy
how low
control.
these are.
If Protoss does this right, he will not lose a Dragoon, but that's a huge loss, and I don't think there was more than 1 or 2 probes killed there. I was having a hard time kind of keeping track. Every single unit for both sides in that fight is, like, so important.
Mm-hmm.
But generally speaking, if you're the Protoss and they do the bunker rush and then you hold it and you keep your Nexus, like, you are eons ahead.
Yeah. Like, most Terrans just leave the game at this point.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
obviously Light is up 2-0. He may as well give it the old college try and see if he can, you know, screw Bisu up some way. Like, if he guesses everything Bisu does and counters it, maybe. Yeah, look at this. He's throwing down 2 barracks. So
no,
he's just
build?
like, this is like, he's just going so ridiculously all in. Look at that Academy coming up.
Well, this, you know, it's a rare one to do this strategy, but it can work. Now, one thing when you do this strat as Terran, you're basically praying that they don't go Reaver. And the good news for Light is that Bisu is not going Reaver.
Yeah. You want to tell him the bad news, though?
He's going DT, which is...
yeah.
DT is... I mean, you can scan and kill DTs, yeah, but, like, DT also creates the same kind of problems that the Reaver does, and that Bio are one-shot by DTs.
Yeah.
And you ain't getting
he's gonna have
armor in
one
this game.
scan, right? Like, he's
Right.
going to have the one scan, and that's it. And that'll kill however many DTs are there, because the damage output of Light's army will be very, very high. But... It seems impossible. Like, you have to literally guess they're going DTs and have an eBay ready and, like, sneak a turret during the push if you have it to, like, actually make this work, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is probably going to end in a pretty anticlimactic way. Basically, Light is banking that maybe, just maybe, Bisu did a double expand after this, which I think would be what we might call like a win more move. Now, when you see the Marines coming out, even though you don't see medics yet, well, he might have spotted it, but you pretty much know what's up. And so, you know, Bisu played a very tight game here, just went straight into DTs. I wonder if he knows that this is what Light does in moments like this. I mean, Nexus first and Terrans rushing it is, you know, it's pretty common these days. Like, Terrans and Protosses are both experiencing either side of this matchup, and the DT is kind of a smart way to just, you know, ensure that you're going to close it out. But again, even Dragoons with range are pretty tough to deal with.
Yeah. And there's actually no comp stat right now, so the DT's going to swipe, he's going to GG, I think. There's just no point to even stay in the game at this point. All right, GG. And Bisu is going to pick one up. I have to be critical of Light. Like, he made that way fancier than it had to be. He brought, like, 5 SCVs and, like, 2 Marines at the beginning. Where, like, there is a tried and true and tested SCV Marine Vulture bus where you start your Vulture, you send 8 SCVs and rally the barracks and the factory. And I will tell you, Light probably 90 to 95% of the time will bust Bisu there. But he did this weird alternate early bust, and it just... Bisu picks up a map win because of it.
Yeah, and that means he's keeping himself in the realm of a possible final here. You know, he shuts the rush down. I was very worried for him back there. That had to be a nail-biter for him back there because, let me tell you something, man. If that Terran gets the bunker up and Marines get inside, you have a very different game on your hands.
But look at this. The probes come down. It's good micro on both sides. And yeah, I did not like this move from him, really honestly. Bisu he was on top of it with this micro. The two Zealots coming down. He never really had a chance to get into the bunker. Bisu was always there to run down and block. And the damage output is just so much higher for this Protoss army. That's why you really need the kind of critical mass of the 8 SCVs, the like 3-4 Marines, and the Vulture.
Right. When the Vulture's there, it makes everything a lot harder. But you're basically just trying to buy time until Dragoons would come out there, kill the bunker, win the game. So, I mean, you know, if Bisu can win another one, it's going to be tied up 2-2. We're going back to a 1v1 map, though, for map number 4. It's going to be Butter, and we're going to go to that after this short break.
점쟁이 흰갱을 찾아온 ASL의 4강 진출자 김태경 선수를 모셔보겠습니다.
안녕하세요.
4강 진출, 4강 진출.
안녕하세요.
축하드립니다.
감사합니다.
비수 김태경 4강 진출.
오늘 뭐 경기에서 승리하고 정말 뜻깊게 5년
네.
만에 또 4강에 진출하시긴 했지만
네.
김태경 선수의 표정이 막 썩 밝지는 않더라고요. 아무래도
뭔가 올라가긴 올라갔는데 근데 오늘 경기력이 좀 안 좋아가지고
오늘 좀 김태경 선수의 이런 좀 복잡한 심정들을 제가 좀
네.
해소를 해드리려고 제가 또 이렇게 마법의 책을 가지고 왔습니다. 하고 싶은 거,
네.
궁금한 것들을 저에게 말씀을 해주시면 책 속의 해답을 풀이해드리는 시간을 좀 가져볼 거예요.
ASL 우승.
ASL 우승이요?
네.
일단 바로 질러버리시는데 일단 한번 펼쳐보겠습니다.
네. 오?
빨리 해결해라. 4강을 빨리 해결해라.
야, 너무 좋은데요?
이런 말이에요.
이거 거의 해결된 게 아닌데요?
이재호 선수와의 4강을 넘으면
네.
우승이다. 이런 얘기예요. 어때요?
아주 좋은 답변 것 같아요.
이렇게. 이게 나한테 굉장히 힘든 시간이야. 왠지 모르겠는데. 자, 그러면 다음 또 김태경 선수의 소망을 좀 들어볼까?
여자친구 생기게 해주세요.
여자친구 생기게 해주세요.
거의 저만 없거든요. 프로게이머.
아, 진짜요?
네, 전 프로 중에.
어떡해.
이제 만들어야죠.
과연 김태경의 연애. 짠! 조금 더 명확한 관점으로 봐라.
와, 당분간 이거 없다는
이게 무슨 말이냐면
느낌인데?
내가 호감이 있는 여자에게 다가가라.
오.
좋아하는 이성이 있었을 때 적극적으로 하시는 편이신가요?
그런 느낌은 아니었던 것 같고 잘 모르겠어요. 만난 지 좀 오래돼가지고
그럼 좀 김태경 선수 이상형 어떻게 되는지 좀 잘 들어볼까요?
같이 있으면 좀 마음 잘 맞고 소주 한잔 할 수 있는 그런 여성분이 좋은 것 같아요.
그래서 지금 마음에 드는 이성이 있다 없다?
지금 없습니다.
어.
곧 생기겠죠?
네, 꼭 찾기를. 자, 그럼 다음 소방으로 넘어가 보겠습니다.
미국 가서 그 야구 류현진 선수 게임하는 거 그거 보는 게 좀 제 꿈이거든요. 그런 거 하게 해주세요.
아, 제가 하게 해드릴 수는 없고
네.
볼 수 있는지 없는지. 나머지는 당신의 선택에 달려있다.
너무 어정쩡한데요?
보러 가고 싶으시면 티켓팅을 하셔야죠. 네?
좀 생각해봐야 되겠네요.
이렇게 무책임한 전쟁이가 있나, 그죠? 근데 제가 개인적으로 궁금한 건 저랑 동갑이시잖아요.
네.
내 방송에서 자꾸 저한테 누나라고 하시는지 해명하세요.
그냥 저보다 뭔가 누나 같아요.
밥 사줄 것 같고
맞죠?
뭐 알려줄 것 같고 약간 그런가요?
잘 챙겨줄 것 같아요.
근데 명훈이랑 저랑 이제 친구가 됐거든요. 근데 저랑도 친구를 할 의향은 없으신가요?
전 좋죠?
친구하자 그럼.
이제 방송에서 현경이라고 해도 돼요?
물론 태경아 누나라고 하면 그러면 이제 조금 리그 얘기로 돌아가서
네.
제가 이번 시즌 김태경 선수랑 계속해서 승자 인터뷰를 하고 있는데
네.
김태경 선수가 공통적으로 하는 말이 있어요.
뭐요?
경기력이 마음에 안 든다.
승자전부터 최종전까지 솔직히 만족스러운 경기는 없었던 것 같아요. 솔직히 오늘 경기력 좀 만족스럽지 못해요.
그래서 저는 과연 4강에서 김태경 선수가 오늘 제 경기력 마음에 듭니다 라는 대답을 들을 수 있을지가 궁금해졌는데 이번에는 김태경 선수가 한번 좀 펼쳐보실까요? 이재호 선수와의 4강 과연 내 마음에 드는 경기력이 나올 것이냐? 주도권을 가져라. 헬려 다니지 마라.
네, 좋은 것 같아요, 진짜.
나도 경수심 지을 거야? 열심히 하는 거 안 보여? 자, 이제 진짜 또 오랜만에 4강에 올라선 김태경 선수이기 때문에
네.
아마 더 많은 관심과 또 집중을 받을 수밖에 없을 것 같아요. 각오를
네.
한 말씀 좀 해주시죠.
제가 또 처음으로 실전지 하는 거라 잘 준비해야겠지만 그날 좀 컨디션이 좋았으면 좋겠고 응원 많이 해주시는데 그게 좀 보답하고 싶습니다.
기대하도록 하겠습니다. 화이팅!
네, 파이팅!
화이팅!
파이팅!
ASL Season 13 Unlimited.
It's time for butter. Get your pants out. We're going to see what builds are going to be cooked up with butter here.
Get your pans out.
Get your pans out.
Get your spreading knife.
Toast
your
toast
bread.
ready. Going to butter.
Yeah, a two-player map here again. I think Light can't use the same strat. Because Bisu is definitely going to be keyed into that being a possibility now. Yeah, I'm excited, though, to see what Bisu has planned.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about how Proxygate probably not going to happen, but, you know, it's tempting, man. After this, we don't have one-on-one maps, so...
I think it's a little bit more likely here to occur because the map is less played, right? So the proxy locations, the distance to everything, right? And Eclipse, like, you have every pixel mapped out and exactly what you can kill in what amount of time, right? Because it's been played so much. Butter, it's a little bit more of a question mark. So maybe I think it's more likely we see a Proxygate here than on Eclipse.
Yeah, I'm curious, man. Again, you know, Light seems to be very equipped to take on these quick Nexus builds as well. I don't know. Let's just get into this game.
버터에서 게임을 시작합니다.
So in the top right, we have Light. And in the bottom right, we have Bisu.
Yeah, what is Protoss going to do? I mean, they have more options on 1v1 maps than any other map, and it is going to be a proxy.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not overly surprised. I'm not sure where he's going to put it because, you know, it seems to me that there's probably like 4 locations it could go in, which is approximately the same as Eclipse, but we'll see where he wants to put it down. But I think I'm more interested in the follow-up Tastosis. Like, does he want to go second gate in his main? Is he going to go quicker Dragoons? Like, what is that going to look like?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, I want to point out, Bisu is probably the best at these builds in the whole world.
Do you think so?
I really think so. Like, I mean, he's got so many different variations, and you know, this idea is old. There's a lot of new, different ways people play with it, but like, he almost always wins when he does this. Now, I think Light's going to be a big challenge. I think that this may be just far out enough. He can't get his gas in time. I'm not sure. But he might not want to take the gas, too. No, I guess you always want to take the gas, right?
He'll be here in time. Like, the earliest the gas ever gets taken is like 140. So, yeah, he'll jump on.
Yeah, you're right.
You have to cancel an SCV if you really want it. And if you're canceling SCVs and a Zealot comes, it's like really, really gross.
And that's the problem for the the Terran is like, you don't know if there's a gateway out here or not, right? I mean, but especially with someone like Bisu, he's going to have games where he makes a gateway like this and then games where he doesn't. Now, the probe comes in here and nips at each of these SCVs, and it's really important to remember that unless the SCVs repair each other, this damage is permanent. So when a Zealot comes in, it may kill an SCV with one less strike necessary. So, I mean, there's a lot of little tiny elements to this that make this so powerful. You know, Terran, unlike Zerg, Zerg will just slowly regain health over time. The Protoss has shields. The Terran doesn't have anything unless you get something to manually regen it, like a medic or using an SCV to repair. So,
Oh my God, he's missing the gateway, and he barely misses Zealot as well.
Oh,
so.
I didn't realize it was that close to it.
No! He takes a bunch of damage on the Marine. Oh, a terrible situation right there, but Light will get back, and Light, actually, he's been putting up highlight clips of his Marine micro. It's the best I've ever seen, honestly. It's like flash level 100%. So I'm not too afraid of him taking too much damage here, but this is a little bit scary.
Look at this
it's
setup.
non-stop Zealot flow.
Man, he's making sure both the gas goes down and his Marines can't be touched.
Yeah, that was a sick little box he made for his Marines. And look at this, he's getting his gas now. The SCVs stay in front, the Marines ready to run to the south if need be.
And he's going to just back up. I mean, honestly, Light has got some of the best control ever, man.
It's ridiculous.
Crazy. Yeah.
It is ridiculous,
I'm
like how well
stunned.
he controls.
So he's going to make a bunker here.
Oh, it's such a smart move. And look, the SCV scouts, this is, in my opinion, if you're going to proxy gate, this is exactly how you do it, where you don't throw away the Zealots, you go second gate as well and go up to Dragoons. Now, on Light's side, since he only went one barracks, he has no chance to walk out and put on any counter pressure. He simply has to go into factory and try to play a more defensive game here.
So the big question for me is what is the next tech here? I mean, we know Dragoons with the range are going to come. That has to happen, right? But what's after that?
Yeah, well, the world is Bisu's oyster, because you're, like, just... First off, when he kills the SCV, like, that's lights out for Light. He just has no idea what's going on at that point. Plus, there's 2 gates with range on the way. So... what this does, Tastosis, is it forces Terran to get siege mode and turrets.
Yeah.
And when Terran has to get siege mode and turrets, you can literally do anything as Protoss. Because that is like, you can't attack if you go siege mode turrets. It's purely defensive.
Yeah, I'm glad you're bringing this up, and I don't think we've really mentioned this in a cast before, but, like, there's 2 things that slow the Terran down, right? And Protoss is looking for both of them. And siege mode slows them down because, look, you want to get mines out, you want to get vulture speed, you're going to engage the Protoss with that kind of stuff, right? Siege mode, you're like, okay, so now I can't attack you, but I don't have to attack you either. I can just make a nexus, I can tech up. And then the other one is turrets, because you need several of them. They eat up a lot of money. And it basically means that, if you've got both of those things, it's going to be extremely difficult to also try to push in and actually... attack a Protoss who's able to just produce and keep up.
Yeah, now Light has that SCV that's been a bit damaged down towards the bottom left. He may try to sneak that up relatively soon here to try to see if he actually needs the turrets. He's going to have to do that relatively soon, though. SCV's coming up to repair this bunker. Obviously, he is getting siege mode like we talked about. Making a second siege tank right now. Can micro a little bit here. Push those back a bit. Oh, Bisu taking a bit more damage than he really needs to.
And so, the game's going to go on here. I wish I could get a shot of what Bisu has back here. I just want to see if there's any surprise tech. So he's going to get the Robo with the Nexus. So this is very kind of middle of the road. You're not committed to anything. You're not risking anything. You're basically just going to get your obs out and you're going to play a safe game.
And the SCV goes down right there, so he doesn't get intel of exactly what's coming. He did see an additional Dragoon pop out, So that at least tells him that DT's not on the way right now or anything like that. But look at this. Oh my god, he's just rushing in. The Marines are not in the bunker. Bisu gonna kill this first siege tank. Oh.
Yeah,
wow.
I feel like that engagement went actually so badly that I'm almost speechless right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm very surprised how well that went for Light.
That could happen, PvT, where like you don't quite get the Dragoon volleys out in time, and then you eat like an extra siege tank shot, and it's like really bad. So like I feel that Bisu was in good shape, but he really threw the advantage with that. That was all the units he was building up throughout this entire game.
Yeah. Now, the first turret is being built. It's like a pretty late turret, but I think Light picked up little cues and little tells as to what was going on, what wasn't going on, so is safe with that. A Reaver is going to be on the way, and now the Vulture's running around with their speed. Love that he got that speed upgrade first, so he actually gets some sort of map presence once again.
Good deflection, though, with the pylons there. Vulture's not really able to get anything done. Seems like Terran wants to try to push out and just kill off the pylon and gateway out here. You definitely want to try to get rid of that as soon as you know you can safely do so, because it just forces the Protoss to start to rebuild infrastructure back in the main. And in games that are this tight, it's very, very important.
Yeah, now Light clearing out this proxy gate, so that's kind of nice. Just take one of the gateways offline. Bisu doesn't really have a lot of production at home or anything. He is getting ready to take this third base, which I think is actually safe for him right now since he has that Reaver tech out. Light, I love the third factory ad right now because he's got the speed vultures, he's laying some mines and everything. The deflection he did on that big attack, that was a lot of units for Bisu. So Bisu's army is not that big. Light may be able to put a little bit of pressure on Bisu here, especially if Bisu loses this shuttle. Like, if he screws up and overcommits with this shuttle, I could see Light, like, running away with this game suddenly.
This is crazy. He's just going to go right over the bunker. It's funny. If you don't lose anything other than the shields, you can just do that. It's sort of like this free way to just kind of eat damage and let the game go on. These Reaver shots are nuts, Tastosis.
Yeah, not bad. He's going to get that tank. Very nicely done. It takes a lot of damage on the shuttle, but the shuttle does get away. In fact, I think shuttle speed just finished, so it's going to be very hard for him to end up killing that at any point. But it's a very damaged shuttle, so I guess there's that. He doesn't really have to worry about a counterpunch. Oh my god. I'm flying over the Marine.
Yeah, imagine that had eaten one more missile earlier on here. And
yeah, that would have killed it, actually. One more missile turret hit, I think.
Yeah, it would have just been shot out of the sky. That would have been like
that would have been hilarious.
Yeah, Bisu's worst moment in his career. So Protoss is taking a third base. I'm not sure exactly what a really late game PvT looks like on this map. I don't
think
know.
We've really seen him.
Yeah, we haven't really seen him. I mean, I could speculate, but we might get to that. But this is a pretty quick two-base timing push. And with a Reaver here, you're gonna get a lot of work done. And so, it's kind of crazy that Bisu's gonna commit to this even after seeing the Reaver get away. But Light's gonna come in here, and frankly, these Dragoons are just a little bit too fragmented.
Yeah. Well, Bisu lost so many units with that dive-in earlier when Light took his natural, and you can see Light starting to abuse that a little bit. This is a great push from Light so far. Wow, even keeps that 5 hit point siege tank alive. That's amazing. And now he's starting to lay down some turrets. This is looking pretty sexy.
Yeah, he's got 4 Dragoons, though, to intercept. 4 Dragoons are going to two-shot tanks. So it's really going to be about keeping these 3 tanks and a Vulture alive. 2 shuttles are made. I think he's just going to go for it, man.
Yeah, well, he's got to do something here. You don't want to let Light really get entrenched. The Reaver's getting some pretty decent volleys, and the Dragoon flank coming down. He's going to be able to pick off those siege tanks. Looks like the turret not going to finish. He is going to save that shuttle with the Reaver in it. And Bisu will end up cleaning this.
Yeah, this is a crazy one, man. I don't think that Light's going to try to extend this into a late game either. He's just going factory man right now. And, basically the push failed, and what he wants to do is just try to grind the Protoss down and close this out. He's just getting more and more factories. I think that push there from Light was a very questionable move. You know, you see the speed shuttle, and I mean, look, when I play Protoss, in my experience, when I have a speed shuttle and a Reaver, I think there's way more that I can do to slow down a 2-base push. You know what I mean? And Bisu did exactly that. And Bisu's basically teching the carriers off of this. He sees that there's no third base taken, and I guess when you look at this map, Artosis, this is actually a map where it's really hard for the Terran to go to third base. I had not noticed that until now, but...
yeah, it seems like a little far away. It looks like you'd probably take the one to the left, although his command center looks positioned to take the one on the right. Not entirely sure, though. We haven't really gotten any big macro games here.
But I guess the idea is that he's just going to rely on, you know, Dragoons with range and speed shuttles, and then just quietly tech the carriers. And, you know... the carrier is sort of like a trump card in the background. You know what I mean? If he gets up to about 4, it's going to just be so hard to deal with. Oh, wow, and 3 starports. I almost didn't see that.
Yeah, Light is actually the only Pro Terran that really likes Wraiths against carriers. He's very content with going for a bunch of Wraiths, and in fact, sometimes he'll even stay on Wraiths and just go like Vulture Tank Wraith. And try to just utilize good micro on them and everything. So we'll see if it works out for him. I think it's the right choice here. If you go Goliaths, I think it'll turn into a mathematical victory for Bisu where you're just not going to have enough. But Wraiths, they have that extra little tactical edge to them where you can make miracles happen. You know, there's some flexibility there to how well you can do.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. I think you're right. I think you basically win the math problem here. I think you just end up in a position where, like, you kind of, you know, it gets close until it's not close anymore, and either there's, you know, there's too many carriers in the air, or the ground army's too big and Goliaths can't fight him. I was misled on this too, from what I saw on screen. You're right. It's going to be a third base taken here quite quickly, and this can go either way. Keep in mind that when Protoss are powering on carriers, they don't need as many bases, so. Expansion-wise, it can look like it's a pretty even game. Really, if you're going for carriers, you know, with the ground army like this, it's really about how you could engage the Terran.
And, you know, Bisu has this 4th base in that bottom left, which is kind of nice for him. But yeah, I think as long as he just macros up, he should be feeling pretty good about his position. But he has no idea about the Wraiths. And on 3 gas, you can pretty much make as many Wraiths as you want here as Light. I think this game is going to come down almost completely to the first engagement with Wraiths. If he can snipe observers, if those carriers get too far out of position, and he can gun them all down with the Wraiths, that becomes a game that's not too hard for Light to win.
Do we have observer speed? I think we do, actually. So
I didn't think we do, but...
Observer speed... Yeah.
No, it's not yet.
No, that's a fast obs, right? Am I crazy?
No, that's a slow obs.
Oh, no, you're right. That's pretty slow, actually. They're really fast when they're fast. So
yeah, they go in front of the goons.
Yeah, so basically, you know, if he gets observer sight range and speed, this is manageable with the Wraiths. It's very tough for the Wraiths to actually find. I think a scan, vision-wise, is not as big as a upgraded observer's vision.
Oh, is that right? I actually have no idea about that. That's really interesting.
Yeah,
oh, wow.
I could be wrong. I mean, feel free to fact-check me on that, but I think that's how that works out. And
oh, that's
so,
cool.
like,
it should be like that, actually. That makes sense.
Yeah, and so when they scan, if you kind of keep it on the edge, sometimes they just won't find it. Like, it's really hard. They need to do, like, a blanket scan. So, you know, you kind of keep, like, one observer right-clicked on the carrier, and then you keep a couple to the side. And it's kind of a funny way to play, but, I mean, it does work, as, you know, if the Wraiths are seen, they all just get blown up immediately if you have Dragoons and carriers here. And you got to be careful as the Terran, because if you start to scan and kill obses like right before this, it kind of gives away what you're doing.
Yeah, it does. If you scan too many times looking for observers and pick them with the Goliaths, I think it makes the Protoss wary. So you really have to make this happen all at once. You have to wait for the perfect moment. The carrier's at, you know, maximally out of position. Hopefully you get to find all of the observers and pick them off. But yeah, this is going to be like a fireworks ending here coming up.
I do want to point out that although Corsairs almost never have any place in this matchup, if they're going for Wraiths, you can go for Corsairs, and the Corsairs do beat them. And
Yeah.
wait for it, guys. You could get Disruption Web. It's not a stretch
You
to
could.
do that. I'm going to answer every day in my Twitch chat. You guys just point them to this moment in the VOD, okay? When you ask me that question, can we use D-Web here? Maybe in this one instance, because you need to fight the Wraiths anyways. But otherwise, probably
It's
not.
possible. Yeah, probably not, though. And here's something for people as well. Valkyries wreck Corsairs. But we're getting pretty far out there right now. Oh, I think Observer Speed's done now, Tasteless.
Yeah, look at
and
that
that's
guy
a hell of a
go.
lot of Observers. So actually, Bisu, I think, pretty much knows that this is within Light's wheelhouse. And how careful he's playing this, I'm liking this game for Bisu right now.
Me too.
Just watching the way he's moving around, he's like making everything Light's problem. Whereas if he actually attacked, we might have seen the Wraiths kill everything. It's a real possibility.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the problem is that, like, if you attack in, then the Wraiths suddenly, they have a lot of utility, right? But if you don't, and you just, like, have the Dragoons and the carriers kind of patrolling, then it's like, well, when are you going to get you're not ever going to get a moment to kill the carriers. And the problem is that Bisu's not stopping making carriers. So, I mean, you actually want to leave a little bit of supply vacant here in the end so you can have a few more carriers fill in the slots. And, you know, when you get to, like, 10 carriers, man, they kind of can beat everything. And you're getting to the point where you're actually sniping stuff and you're not trading out anything except for a couple interceptors.
Yeah, and carriers at this point are like another base. They're like a flying base of damage.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like, well, I mean, let's just see what happens. I think +2 air should be done by now.
He starts to walk in there. Corsair is out. That's bad news.
Gamers.
+2. Dude, okay, the Wraiths are going to try it, but no, it's so many observers, Tasteless.
Well,
it's such an amount of observers.
And it's important to note that there's that one on the side here.
Yeah.
Because even if they kill them all, you just grab that one and pull it in there, and, like, they'll die so fast. Because
the Wraiths will have no chance.
Yeah. Dude, he's going to get D-Web. We got to believe, guys.
He could here.
Yeah.
It's possible, but, like, honestly, Bisu can do anything here. His army is way better. Oh, God, Carrier's flying over the Goliaths, and he doesn't even see it. I don't know what Light is doing.
It's so funny. All right, he sees it now. And all that you really need to do at this point in time in the game here for Bisu is just kill the command center and leave.
Yeah. But what's Light up to? He flies 12 Wraiths into the main base. Okay, he's going to take out a cannon. He might do something like kill the Robo. Oh, he's going to get rid of an upgrade? Okay. I mean, I don't mind this. This is kind of a clever thing to try. I don't think he's going to win, but I think it's a clever thing to try.
Look at how long it takes to kill this building, by the way.
Oh, yeah. And the Goliaths, they're going to slow this down a little bit. Bisu should not be fully attacking in. Ooh, Storm's coming down.
So funny to see these abilities used on units you just don't normally see.
Yeah.
Where it's like, man, they take a lot of damage from Psystorm. Can one Psystorm kill a Wraith? Do you know?
Yeah, right? Can't it?
I think so.
Because a Wraith has less health than a Lurker, right? Am I crazy?
What an odd thing to know. Yeah, I think you're right about that. I feel like a Lurker has a lot of health, but no, I guess not.
Because remember, that was like one of the final patches, was to make it so one Psystorm didn't kill Lurker.
Oh gosh, I had forgotten about that.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a huge
Something
attack.
like that.
Huge attack coming in here. Great Psystorms here to just kind of make these Goliaths a little bit more squishy.
The Wraith's not finding too much value here, unfortunately. He does need them to pay off at some point. It's a lot of his supply, a lot of his resources were put into that. Light is taking a base over at 3 o'clock. He has... The thing is, he's going to lose all these tanks. Like, he doesn't have enough anti-air here, I don't think.
Yeah, and, you know, I think in this case it's going to be Bisu just targeting Goliaths, but, like... Yeah, I mean, this is just... It's enough carriers. Again, you can't let them get this far along here, but Bisu played a pretty masterful game, to be totally honest.
I like this, by the way. He's hold positioning the Wraith just to help against the the interceptors for now because he can't dive in here. The 2 Corsairs will really, really hurt him. I tell you, like, it's always inspiring to watch Light because this game looked very bad, but I tell you, he would beat a lot of players in this position.
I think he's going to go for the Wraiths here. Okay.
Look at the damage that they take. My God. Very, very quick. Wait, now, hold on, Tasteless.
Is he going to win this?
Is Light going to be able to actually grind this one out?
I mean,
there's so many carriers.
Well, the thing is, he's going to have remade those interceptors, or almost have remade them. He's going to get some Psystorm to come up here. Oh, he's got some great targeting there. Dragoons come down from above. The thing is, I don't know what else Terran has back here. You know, Bisu actually, his income is plummeted here. I mean, you could see he's literally just making interceptors right now. I think Light might actually win what I thought was an unwinnable game. This is wild to me.
No, this is really kind of impressive from Light because his Wraiths didn't really do very much. He's just hold positioning them, which actually makes them really similar to Goliaths, right? So he's still got value out of them in these fights a little bit at least, as if they're like the back row of Goliaths or something.
You know, the problem, I think, Artosis, is that the interceptors can still be remade, and so the carriers are still a threat. He has only 4 interceptors. He got the upgrade, right? I'm not crazy, right?
Oh, if he doesn't have the upgrade, Tasteless.
No, he does. Okay, okay. It just happened to have that number in there.
That has happened in pro games before.
Oh, yeah.
Where they don't get the interceptor upgrade. Which, by the way, is a dumb upgrade. It's like, if they patch StarCraft, just give it to carriers. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, no kidding.
It's like the dumbest
no, we don't want
forget.
that. Yeah, we just want 4 interceptors. Like,
yeah, it's not a choice. Any upgrade that's not a choice at all is kind of silly.
So, I mean, he's going to kill off the command center, and I think what he wants to do is basically dive bomb this last base and kill that, and then just play a micro game. I mean, carriers can lend themselves to these kind of funny base trade positions. And, I mean, look, Bisu's still mining in the center center left. Suddenly forgot like how to talk. So, I mean, it's going to be hard for Terran to push through there and get that. Oh, man, if he could get these armories, dude, that would be huge.
Yeah, that could be nice. I wonder if Light's going to make more Wraiths here. No, he just GG's.
So basically...
Just too much, not enough anti-air here.
Yeah, well, not just that, but, you know, he doesn't have probably that many scans available, and you could just keep making DTs. DTs are, it's kind of weird. They're almost like the final tech in the carrier build after the Templars are out, is like you make DTs, and it's like, you know, Terran can't get that many bases, right? Playing against carrier if the Protoss just scouts. So the DTs are kind of like the final closer. Okay, so we're tied up 2-2, man. We still got a long night ahead of us.
Yeah, that was a good fight, that game. Like, there was some interesting stuff going back and forth. Like Light's counterplay against Bisu, who kind of like wasted those units on the run into the natural, and then you know, the Wraiths versus the carriers, but they didn't quite work, and Light made the best of a bad situation and almost made it look scary there. But I mean, Bisu, you know, when you get up to 10-12 carriers, that is, the damage output is just insanity. You need so much to deal with it.
Quick break, guys. We come back. We're going to go to Vermeer for map number 5. We'll see you soon.
힘들어도
어려워도 이렇게 멈추면 내가 아니지.
오늘이 보여.
새로운 날을 만든다.
나의 레벨은 다르다. 어너더 레벨 핫6.
어려워도 이렇게 멈추면 내가 아니지. 오늘이 모여 새로운 날을 만든다. 나의 레벨은 다르다. 어너더 레벨 핫6.
아침엔 라떼 홀릭 점심엔 라떼 홀릭 저녁엔 라떼 홀릭 풍부하게 달콤하게 라떼 홀릭
달달한 충전이 필요할 땐 칸타타
라떼 홀릭.
Welcome back, everyone. Bisu fought back, and now we're tied up 2-2. Before we went to the break, we saw Light in his chair, and he looked frustrated. He looked tense. I mean, those first two games were tournament dream games coming from a Terran. You know, exhaust play victory, and then the perfect counter. You just outwit them with their build. And then Bisu just came back, and, I mean, this could go either way now, man. Just 2 more wins on either side, and they take it.
Yeah, it's a good point. I believe we're going into Vermeer next, which is a pretty standard map. Pretty big map, though, too. I think there's a very high chance that Bisu goes for Nexus first here once again. And, yeah, let's see how Light's going to end up playing against that. Did you like the carrier play from Bisu as opposed to Arbiter or the speed shuttles? Because now he's shown kind of all the different modern PvT types.
I mean, it looks stronger. Tastosis, friendship with Arbiter has ended. Carrier is my new best friend. Okay?
Oh, wow.
ASL Season 13
It's all about carriers, man. And I love what Bisu did. But let's see what happens in Game 5. We're going to go to Vermeer and see who's going to finally take the lead between these two.
버미오에서 게임을 시작합니다.
So we have a Light in the bottom right. And Bisu in the top right. Okay. You know, for these spawns, I could see this being a huge game. If Bisu ends up going, like, you know, 4th or 5th base, top left main, that's so far away, it's really hard for Terran to deny when you're in spawns like this.
Yeah.
And, I mean, as soon as you get another main, it's like, okay, this is going to be an epic one.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. Huge map. Terrans don't love that. But, yeah, let's see what exactly we've got. You know, Bisu's shown that he really likes Nexus first. Or Gas Steel, or Proxy, right? But I don't think we're going to have any more Proxies today. Proxying is
well,
kind
the 2-player maps are gone, right? So it's
if
you
people don't do it on 4-player maps anymore.
No, yeah, you're pretty clowny if you do that. It's just not that strong. But yeah, I mean, Gas Steel on a 2-player map is the strongest build. On a 4-player map, it's Nexus first is the strongest build. So, I mean, I think he should keep it up. And look, I bet you, yeah, look, it's a Nexus first from Bisu. And this map, like, I actually don't know the exact seconds in rush distance, but it really looks to me like it's a hard one to bust on.
Yeah, it feels big, right? Feels like it's a long distance to travel. So Nexus on 12 it is. What variation of that, we're not sure. I wouldn't be surprised if Bisu cross scouts again.
Yeah, that's the norm right now. And Light is going Command Center first. Are you kidding me?
Cool.
That is amazing.
Let's
This
go.
is not even considered a build order in this matchup, because if they make a Zealot, you lose the game.
Yeah.
But the map is big. Bisu has been going for Nexus first plays on the bigger maps. And Light calls it here. Like, this is amazing. There is not a better build if you're not going to be punished.
Yeah,
This is peak Terran here.
Well, this is what's funny is, like, this beats what what Protoss is doing. The problem with this is, like, if you try this on ladder and they literally don't do what Bisu's doing, you probably lose. So, you know, it doesn't pay off against, you know, randomly queued opponents on ladder, but in a best of 7, it's kind of a smart move, man. Especially when, you know, Bisu definitely leans towards expoing quickly. And you know, this may force a revert from Bisu to where he comes back into having to do gate openings again.
Yeah, maybe, but like, I mean, unless you make a Zealot, like, honestly, Nexus First is fine against Goon. You know, like you have everything in time to stop the Goons, no problem. One thing that I think people misunderstand is like the gasless expansion, where you go for, like, for instance, the barracks into Command Center. You can live through a Zealot, but it's actually a slower factory than Command Center First, which seems counterintuitive, but that's kind of the way it works. So, like, I mean, as soon as you're not punished here, you are feeling fantastic. And let's see what Bisu wants to do. Is he going to get range right away? Is he going to go right into a Robo? He's because I don't know. Like, there's not a better build for Terran. So Light should be able to just do some sort of pressure that keeps him in a good spot.
Yeah, I mean, when you're the Terran, and I mean, I don't know how often you've actually done this build, Artosis, because, I mean, you're like me, you mostly just grind on ladder. I mean, is there one or two things you're worried about the Protoss doing, or are you just high on life if you get away with this?
Well, I mean, I literally never do this against Protoss because, like you said, on ladder, this is like the worst build you can come up with because more than 50% of the time they go Zealot. But yeah, there's nothing you're afraid of because everything comes so fast. You have so many SCVs. You can do everything. You can go 2 Factory Academy Armory, which is like, that's it right there, man. That's the best thing that you can do as Terran is have 2 factories for pressuring and detection and scouting and upgrades all going at once. And I bet you that's what he ends up doing here. But his economy is so good, he could just go directly into 4-fact and just do like an insanely quick and strong push too.
And so does this... I mean, are carriers still a threat in the same way versus fast command center?
No. In this situation, like, carriers would be great otherwise, but, you know, I guess it matters partially on what Light is actually going to end up doing. In fact, that might be... Is he going to, like, Starport or something there? What is that SCV doing?
Yeah, I wonder.
Yeah, I don't know. But, yeah, Light... Like, I feel like in this situation, you're always going to do some sort of 2-fact move out, like a 3-tank, a few Marines, and just kind of walk up and see what your opponent's doing a little bit.
So we've got the 3rd Nexus coming up here. He's got the pylon walls there. Here's another factory and a 4th. Is this going to be that 4-factory timing that Artosis mentioned a little bit ago? I mean, it's looking like it. Over here for Bisu, I mean, he may end up just going back into Arbiter Tech here and trying to match whatever push comes out.
Yeah, but this 4-factory with no Reaver in sight is going to be really, really scary to deal with, I think. eBay coming up. There is an Observer coming over, so that's going to give Bisu a little bit of advance notice. But I think the move-out timing for this, for Light, is when the other 2 factories finish, basically. Like, the 2 factories finish, you bring all your tanks and Marines and, like, 2 SCVs, and then you just rally Pure Vulture, and you go try to run them over. That's going to be scary. Oh, my God. He is going up to carrier.
Oh, man. I feel like this is going to be a tough needle to thread, you know, to try to hold off a push and power up into carriers. And, oh, he canceled it, Artosis.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
He sees exactly what's coming here. And he knows that he could just straight up die to it. So, being a lot more careful now, adding those additional gateways. And these ramps are probably going to be the biggest problem here for Light. Notice he is sieging. And, of course, you want to make him leapfrog here as Bisu. Very good moves from him. But as Speed Vultures come out, Bisu has to be very careful. Because if there's like a little sandwich here, you run Speed Vultures up behind, lay mines behind those goons, it might become a roll real quick.
Yeah, and a good job here by Bisu. He's going to run right up here and start to clear out these spider mines. But that allows Light to move in here. I mean, tactically, Light is playing like a genius. He's baiting the Dragoons back, which just allows the push to close in even further.
Yeah, this is just so expertly done here from Light. And this is why those carrier builds, like you asked earlier on, if that's still going to be as much of a threat. And these pressure builds, like you see, like Bisu needs to make everything he can just to hold on here. Now, a turret coming up, he still has 4 Marines, so this shuttle not going to be as powerful as he wants it to be.
There's what, a Reaver in there, or does he have...
No, I think it's like Zealots, maybe.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Well, he's pulled these Dragoons back. He's going to just try to find another opening here. And
Dude, Light
basically,
is
Bisu has to buy
smashing.
time.
This is crazy. Like, Bisu has lost a lot of Dragoons already. Oh, okay, does get the Unsiege off there. Pushing that shuttle back a little bit with those Marines. Re-sieging up. More tanks and vultures rallying up. A few more SCVs coming as well. Looks like he wants to put a lot of buildings down here to help the push.
So if this push is broken, very likely that Bisu takes the game, even though the game may go on for a little bit. But if Light can push through and either wipe the army and keep most of the siege tanks up, or he kills a third base, it's probably a Light win here. And this is a pretty insane attack, guys. Oh, he's going to come in.
Ooh, this is looking so good right now for Light. He drops out that Reaver. Everything's starting to explode. The mine hits were insane. And it looks like Light is going to be able to push that all back. Still has a few tanks, still has the turrets. And he's just going to rally a lot more vultures up here. This is looking terrible for Bisu.
Yeah, Bisu in a little bit of trouble. If this pylon wall goes down, so do all the probes inside. And I think this is, the best he could try to hope for is to try to force these to unsiege, buy a little bit of time. Hey, man, he is going to surround these tanks. Or, oh, no, it's going to live after that.
Oh, but he's got the flanking goon.
The goon
so only one tank remains. 360 MLG.
360 MLG, 360 killed him, man. Oh, no, and then that happened.
No. Yeah. Vultures getting in, getting all the probes here at this third base. Bisu actually with a huge bank right now, 1,300 minerals, having a hard time producing during all of this. But Light is, like, very close to just winning this game, I think.
I mean, I think it's over, man. I think that he's going to try to set up a counterattack and maybe try to, make enough units that he can take this in some way back at home, but this is just pretty bad, to be honest. Oh, man, and there's already tanks up here on the high ground. Huge connect there.
Yeah, threaded the needle with the Reaver, and the Reaver looks like it can do a ton of damage, and it is doing a ton of damage, but the amount of damage that Light's army is doing over in Bisu's natural is maybe even more.
It's kind of crazy how good Bisu is. Like, this counterattack here is, like, so nuts. Like, it's doing so much damage.
Yeah. 16 kills on that Reaver. That's pretty absurd. But losing both of his bases, like, you can't go down to just your main base here. Whereas Light, there's no chance of him losing his base. A lot of damage was dealt, yeah, but Light's still okay.
Yeah, well, he can't deal with this big army. I don't know, man.
Another crazy
see
game.
Yeah, great game, for real. I really enjoyed this one especially. I don't know what Bisu could have done to hold that, man. Again, that's Command Center first, man. Powerful opening. I mean, the kind of momentum you get from that. And again, it's a good way to economically punish Nexus first. Because Command Center first is almost like a cheat build, right?
Yeah, no, it literally is.
And here's what's funny, like, we've got, so that was game 5, so we have 2 more potential games, right? I mean, if he were to do that one more game and Bisu goes Nexus first again, I think it's a very likely Light win. Now, that being said, I don't think that that's how Light's going to approach this, but I just want to put that out there.
Honestly, I think the big mistake here for Bisu was making a Stargate. There's just no universe in which a Stargate is going to be good against Command Center first. Like, either they're going fast upgrades, which is good against carrier, or they're going lots of units, which is good against a carrier rush. So, kind of strange there. Here, this was the big break from Bisu. He actually ran into a ton of mines here, unfortunately.
I think that he actually should not have dive bombed with his shuttle. I think that was the mistake. I think he doesn't need to have Zealots in there. I think he needs to micro the Reaver in and out and try to pick stuff off. But, man, it's funny what one turret, like this little hole here where you can make that turret on the map, it, like, fits perfectly there. It's funny what that will do for a fight. Because just having a shuttle where you can, like, wait for the tanks to fire and then put the Reaver out and shoot and then pick it back up and wait for another shot and shoot, you can do so much damage with that. But I think to kamikaze the shuttle, Zealots, and ultimately the Reaver in there, and the Reaver gets, like, one shot and gets blown up. A little bit of a misplay, but that's a tough one. I mean, Bisu was kind of stunned when he saw the factories come down there, had to cancel the Stargate. It really came down to a mid-game brawl, and he just didn't have enough.
No, it's certainly not. Well, is it back to the drawing board? I don't think so. I think Bisu can keep playing this way, but if you see the command center first, you got to really respect it as being the strongest build, something you never practice against, but just know that, like, it is the dream of every Terran player to be able to do something like that and get away with it. Light looking really strong. His prep for this series seems really, really smart so far. The Eclipse game and Vermeer game were both, like, almost, not exactly build order wins, but, like, really well-prepped, well-thought-out build orders that got him ahead.
Let's go to Revolver, man. This is crazy, dude. Light needs one more win. It's tense here for Bisu. You can see how they've adjusted to each other in the series. It's been a lot of fun to watch. I'm really glad this is a best of 7 because we can kind of see the story go on now. Does Bisu have an answer? Will Light do another quick command center, or is he going to try to, go back into something else? I don't know. I think the other thing, too, is, like, does Bisu want to go Nexus first? I don't think Light's going to go for proxy racks or anything weird, like double proxy racks, which also kind of hard beats Nexus first.
Well, Revolver is an amazing map for Nexus first, and both of them know that. So there's a lot of different levels of mind games going on here. Do you do Nexus first? Do you punish Command Center first? It's hard to say.
Tough. I don't know, man. Let's find out. Game 6, go.
리볼버 SE에서 게임을 시작합니다.
So we have Light in that bottom right, and in the bottom left we have Bisu. So the spawns are good for Light. That is the most bustable spawns if there is a Nexus first.
Yeah, that's one of the funny things about this map is that, like, if you're both sharing the bottom, it's very rushable.
Yeah. It's like a little bit tricky to get the AI to go how you want it, but everyone knows how to do it, so it's all right. The map is considered a bit tough TVP. We haven't seen that many games in ASL in this matchup yet, but look at that pylon right there. Okay, so yeah, that pylon, that's interesting to me.
Yeah, I didn't expect... I mean, fast expand is one thing, but pylon on low ground fast expand, in my experience, I've only seen this in one-on-one maps, and usually it comes with a gas steel and a forge first, but...
Yeah, I've seen that one. I think it's a gateway, though.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's maybe gateway Nexus.
So, Bisu is one of the players that basically makes his gateway on low ground more than any other Protoss that I know. Best does it sometimes, too, but... And, we've talked about this before, but it's an old opening that's still very applicable in the modern era. And you basically are able to put zealot pressure on. Now, this is a gate opening without a gas. So he's basically going for, like, what he tried to do in the other game, but without the gas steel.
Yeah. And the Zealot, like, if you open like this and your opponent goes for Nexus or Command Center first, you might actually just kill him with the Zealot that walks across. So maybe that was something that was inside of his mind.
Yeah, I mean,
either way,
totally.
He forces the gas here out of Light. Light probably wanted to go for a gasless expansion here, but that's fine. Everything looks all right.
He did make a gas. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I decided that he was making a Nexus. My bad.
Yeah, the two pylon then gas has actually it's gained some popularity lately. Do you know why?
I'm sorry, Artosis. Can you ask me that one more time?
The two pylon Zealot, 2 pylons, and then gas has gained popularity in PvT, and I wonder if you know why.
Just because you don't have to stop making probes. You make probes
so it's
the
just
whole
like
time.
one less probe cut, basically?
Yeah, well, you actually, like, if you get one Zealot, you, like, make the Zealot at 14, then you make a pylon, and, like, then you get the probe. So you're actually, you've lost, like, 2 or 3 probes in the process. Like, you're... If you do, like, Zealot straight into Dragoon, but this one you can get 1 to 2 Zealots out, keep making probes. The Dragoon's later, but, like, that's fine, too. And your range isn't that much later because you were mining gas during that period anyways.
Well, Light's going to get up here, get this scout off. And, okay, let's see it. Light is just going to make his command center, I think. He's actually a little bit late getting the SCV down there. And he does go add-on. Okay, I was just kind of wondering if he was going to attempt any sort of pressure here, since he does have 4 Marines.
Yeah.
But not going to do that.
And so, we've got the Dragoon moving out on the map here. Cool opening here from Bisu. Very safe, I think, against any kind of rush Terran wants to do. I think we've got 2 factories with 2 add-ons there in the Terran's main right now.
Oh, it's his Sim City of a barracks and depot.
Oh, I'm
next
sorry.
to a factory. So it does look like... I actually looked and I was like, 2 facts already? Like,
Yeah.
what?
That's what I was watching. I'm like, that's crazy. Like, his command center's not even, like, close to done. He's got it. So, this is going to be a starport coming here, most likely for a drop.
Yeah, like, there's only, like, 1 Terran in the world that actually just blindly gets starport for Wraith. So certainly he's going to go for a drop. I assume it's going to be, like, mines into speed, probably. See if he can lay some mines out. But, I mean, if you get a good Vulture drop-off, you get really far ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you get a Vulture drop and you kill off enough probes, I almost feel like I want to leave the game when that happens. By the way, this SCV didn't finish the bunker. And that seems to be very intentional. Just in case they don't commit onto it at all, you can cancel that and get a little bit of extra money back.
Now, look at this. He's trapping the goons in here. What you can do in this situation is you throw down the mines behind the goons, and then you make a single tank. We actually were talking about this earlier, where it's like, yeah, normally when the vultures get out, like, you don't keep the goons there, but Bisu did, and now he's walking into mines.
Okay,
yeah,
this
like,
is
look
bad,
how good
dude.
this is for Light.
This is so bad. I mean,
that's pretty bad. And he's got all these Dragoons up here, so Light has to know that it's going to be so easy to get Vultures in the main for damage.
What's crazy, too, is, like, every Dragoon is so precious early on. So, like, to, like, drop them like that, that's pretty brutal, man.
Now, the dropship is out, and it's actually going to fly way around. He doesn't know exactly where the goons are, but he's laid some mines to catch them. Oh my god, Bisu, are you actually going to walk through mines again?
Oh, man. And his Dragoons
he's like
aren't
trying
even
to guess
together.
where they're at, man. Oh, jeez.
Okay, this is going to end, I think, very quickly.
Yeah, this is pretty bad for Bisu. Like, he has been... This has not been a clean game from him. I'm really surprised with some of these choices.
Yeah, I think he's lost 5 Dragoons already, and we're, like, just over 5 minutes into this game. So, like, this is kind of crazy, man. Like, the Vultures are going to come in, and... Oh, man.
Now, to be fair, that was poorly executed from Light, I would say.
True.
And pretty good defense from Bisu, so that combination, it wasn't nearly as many kills as he could have gotten. I think he, like... I'm not sure exactly how many probes there he got, maybe 5. But, yeah, I think it was 4 or 5, but I think he could have done a lot better there. So, hey, that's something for Bisu.
Yeah, I mean, it was handled very well after the drops came in there, and I do think Light could have done more damage. I'm kind of surprised it wasn't more devastating.
And you can see immediately +1 air attack, as well as Stargate coming up. So, you know, this is something that we've talked about in ASL before, where if your opponent goes dropship and you block it, throw down those carriers, man. It's going to be very nice. And the Observer getting in sees just how late these factories are. There's not a lot of units, but he did lose a lot of goons, like you said. So, like, Bisu has to be a little bit careful here.
Yeah. It's going to be 2 base versus 2 base, it looks like. I don't think that the Protoss can try to sneak out a third. You got to be careful, too, because when dropships are at play, I mean, that's also, you know, a real threat. You know, you have tried to take these fights in the middle of the map. You need all your Dragoons there. And then if the dropship just unloads with vultures and you don't catch that immediately, you're in trouble.
Some turrets going up right there to block anything as well. The dropship is going way, way, way around the map. Actually, might be doing a little bit of scouting for him as well, just kind of checking these bases out. But Bisu looks pretty prepped for it this time. He even has Dragoons on the high ground behind his natural here to catch any incoming drops.
Okay, so the dropships are going to come in, deflected pretty quickly. And I think he should have probably waited for that, man. I think you want to try to do the drop as the attack's coming in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't disagree with that. Well, he can still do that maneuver too, I guess, right? He is sitting the dropship just there.
But I mean, now you know that it's out there, right? So that's the problem. Now, I mean, Bisu is going to have less spots that he has to defend. So in a weird way, there's that. Glass is half full in that sense.
Yeah.
But, you know, until we have enough carriers to really fight this, I mean, all Light has to do is get up to the natural and start shelling it and kill the Nexus, and I don't know that Bisu can recover.
Yeah, it gets pretty gross from there. I've seen Stork do it, but Bisu, I don't think, is in the position to really want to try to play that one out. Now, in comes the shuttle, trying to take some of this splash damage and force it onto those siege tanks. But good micro here so far from Light. Does have the few Marines as well as the Goliath to help push that back now. Siege tanks continue to come forward. This is not looking very good for Bisu, I think.
Yeah, well, Bisu's going to come in here with this shuttle and try to drop on top. Oh, my God, and the shuttle goes down. There's so much from Terran. He's just going to try to push in here. I think we're close to the end, Artosis.
Yeah, it definitely does look that way. The first 2 carriers come out. They don't even have interceptors yet. Turrets being built. Obviously, you're going to be making a lot of Goliaths from here, and you don't really need any more siege tanks. 6 should be enough to finish this push off. More turrets being made. Oh, God. Bisu walks down the ramp and into some mines. This is looking like Light's going to go to the finals, Tasteless.
Yeah, I think he's done it, Artosis. In the last 2 games with some extremely powerful 2-base pushes, he manages to come back. And, you know, Bisu, I just don't think he has enough time to get the interceptors out here. You have the Dragoons and the Zealots behind the Nexus. Bisu's waiting the best he can to try to get into some kind of a position where he can maybe swing this, but 2 carriers with 4 interceptors inside isn't going to cut it.
No, they're just not going to do enough here. Trying to put some damage down, picks off an SCV, but that's about all he can get. Bisu now running forward with all of his units, but he is not going to be able to close. He's not going to get any damage done on this army.
Yeah, and I think Light knows. He knows he's won this. GG, Light's going to the finals.
Amazing to see. I am so happy for him here. Light chasing that elusive ASL victory. Definitely one of those players that really deserves a championship in ASL. And he is one step closer. Bisu, first season back out of the military, played fantastically. Brought Light, you know, it was a good series, 4-2. Not bad. Put out some great games. And I'm looking forward to seeing him again next season.
Yeah, man. I mean, Bisu played well, but I think Light really showed a really wide range of TVP. You know, he had these builds that he prepped really well for, like we saw in Game 2, where he just kind of robbed the game from Bisu. We had the exhaust play, and then we had these 2-base pushes like we have here on screen that were just so well done. Although, you know, we're watching this, I almost wish we could have gone back and just looked at those mines blowing up the Dragoons, because it was a lot of it was the tactics early on that kind of forced Bisu into this pretty desperate position. And again, you know, when you're both sharing the bottom on this map, it's very, very, very easy to push across.
Yeah, you're not really going up hills and stuff, so it is a lot more simple. And you're definitely right. You overextended with those goons earlier on, and losing like 5 goons at the beginning of the game, it does nothing but help Light with this push. Like 5 goons makes such a huge difference. I'm really surprised, honestly, because we saw in the other game where in a similar situation where Light was pushing out some vultures, Bisu just went home. Because it's like, yeah, I don't want to lose these to mines. But here he got set up in the traps, and Light just destroyed him from there.
Yeah, I didn't even know about those Dragoons killed up there at the top. Tough game, though, man. You know, Bisu tried to get that carrier tech transition. He wasn't able to do it, but so many of these games were so close. I mean, you know, the Marine SCV rush coming up there. Oh, we're going to have an interview, guys. Let's see how Light's feeling.
일단 오늘 5경기 안에 3경기만 잡으면은 이길 수 있을 거라 생각을 했는데 그렇게 시나리오가 좀 흘러가가지고 오늘 올라갈 수 있었던 것 같고, 생각보다 제가 또 경기를 하다 보니까 긴장이 또 많이 되더라고요. 그래서 서로 좀 실수가 많이 누적되는 부분에서 제가 더 큰 실수를 해가지고 지는 경기도 있었고, 그 경기들을 통해 가지고 이제 뒷경기들은 좀 침착하게 하자, 원래 좀 제 플레이를 하자는 생각에 그런 식으로 했는데 그게 좀 심적으로 많이 안정감을 찾았던 것 같아요. 그것 때문에. 그래서 마지막 경기 잡고, 원래 끝나기 전까지는 좀 감정적으로 좀 동요가 없는 편인데 끝나기 전에 이제 끝났다는 생각이 드니까 기분이 확 막 와닿더라고요. 그래서 기분 너무 좋았습니다. 경기 초반 인터뷰 때도 제가 말씀드렸지만 올해 초에 좀 좋은 일이 많이 일어나고 있어가지고 그래서 좀 잘 풀리는 게 아닌가, 이 기세 이어가지고 이번에 기필코 좀 우승을 해가지고 ASL 트로피도 꼭 가지고 싶습니다. 좋은 점이라면 일단 제가 뭐 기분이 좋을 때나 안 좋을 때나 옆에서 같이 함께 나눌 수 있는 동반자가 있다는 게 정말 좋은 것 같고, 오늘도 매번 이제 경기장 올 때마다 제 컨디션 관리해준다고 운전까지 해줘요. 그래서 덕분에 너무 편하게 와가지고 경기하는데 더 도움이 됐던 것 같아요. 정윤종 선수랑 매치가 더 재밌을 것 같아요. 왜냐면 제가 다른 대회 결승전에서 이겨본 경험이 있고, 그게 또 이제 정윤종 선수랑 만나게 되면은 왠지 또 더 재미난 경기들을 할 수 있을 것 같아서, 물론 뭐 박상현 선수가 쉬운 상대는 아니고 올라오면 마찬가지로 재밌긴 하겠지만 뭔가 정윤종 선수가 요번 시즌 기세를 보면 결승전 올라올 것 같아가지고 그래서 기대가 됩니다. 제 팬분들, 많은 팬분들께서는 이제 제가 매번 이제 우승 후보다 했는데 16강, 8강에서 떨어지는 모습을 보고 많이 안타까워하셨는데, 이번 시즌 거의 2년 만에 결승전 진출했거든요. 그래서 꼭 이번에는 ASL 우승 트로피를 안겨서 이제 저도 개인적으로 뜻깊었으면 좋겠고, 그리고 우리 팬분들께도 큰 선물 드리고 싶습니다. 그리고 오늘 연습 도와준 그 윤수철, 김범수, 그다음에 잠깐만요. 감정이 제 기억이 안 나요. 그리고 변현재, 장윤철 선수가 연습을 많이 도와줬어요. 그래서 꼭 감사의 표시 하고 싶고, 그리고 오늘 경기장까지 데려다준 제 이제 그 아내인 와이프인 이제 새별이에게 또 고맙다는 말 하고 싶습니다. 사랑해. 감사합니다.
Well, there you have it, guys. From the mouth of the victor, Light is going to ASL Season 13 Finals, man. And it's about time, Tastosis.
Yeah, I am loving seeing this. Light he's literally the Terran that every aspiring Terran should study, even over a player like Flash. He just plays the game in the most robust way, and I think you really saw that here tonight. Also has some of his own flair. We saw the cool wraiths and stuff, even though it didn't end up working, that proxy racks as well. So mixing it up and getting to the finals with that 4-2 victory over Bisu. Of course, with Bisu, he's not exactly done. We do have the 3rd, 4th place match that will be coming up as well.
Yeah, so we're going to get to see a little bit more of Bisu here, but a welcome addition in our ASL finals. And, you know, man, a phenomenal play here. I mean, he really put the work in. And you can't win in more ways than Light did tonight, guys. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, both the players really had to show full ranges of play. And I think Bisu, he has a few things that I look at. I'm like, okay, you can improve these small things and you're going to be like twice as strong. So very excited to have him back and see some new improved PvT. Now, don't forget, our other round of 4 match is going to be coming up. It's going to be Rain going up against Soma. Soma has looked as deadly as Light through the tournament. But Rain, I mean, his big brain is really showing through, especially after that win over Sulky.
Yeah, I mean, he can take on pretty much any Zerg out there. And, I mean, I think we've got a great finals no matter how you look at it, whether it's Rain versus Light or Soma versus Light. And keep in mind, the loser of this, we're not going to be done with them either because Bisu has to play in the 3rd place, 4th place match as well.
Yeah, that's right. And do you have one of these players you'd prefer to see go up?
I don't. I mean, the selfish part of me wants to see Rain move on so I can kind of break apart PvT a little bit more. But
sure,
I mean, Soma versus Light would be a great match.
I almost, though, want to see Rain against Bisu, just so Rain can get the final Power Stone in his Infinity Gauntlet of PvP, you know? Like, he's beaten everybody else, so
yeah.
Why not just finish it off with Bisu? Because you have to beat him to truly be the best PvPer.
So funny, man. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and thank you everybody who supported us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/ASL English if you want to support the cause here for our casting of this tournament. Tastosis, any closing thoughts?
Dude, it has been fantastic so far. Cannot wait for that other round of 4 match, and the rest of the tournament's going to be amazing. Thank you so much, guys, for your support.
ASL Season
Bye-bye.
13 Unlimited.